Joe Rogan Podcast. Check it out.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Train by day, Joe Rogan Podcast by night, all day.
Of course.
Pretty tight.
Is it tight, you mean?
No, nice,
okay.
like tight.
Nice. I feel like they're going to sue me.
For the shirt?
I don't know.
Do you sell it?
I'm trying to.
I don't think they want to sue anybody. I think they
No.
want to keep it on the DL, especially you, because you could just go on podcasts and talk about it.
Not if I'm dead. I could talk about it till I'm dead.
Let's see if they haven't killed. There's so many. If they haven't killed Malice, there's so many people that they haven't killed.
I'd be a fun kill, though. They just come to
whack
the
you
Bronx.
out of
It's like
nowhere.
so easy to just kill me.
Right. Anybody gets killed in the Bronx. Happens all the time.
Nobody cares.
Yeah, probably.
They don't care.
Few people would be upset, and then it would go away.
My mom.
Like Epstein.
Yes.
Like, that kind of went away.
It did go away.
The guy who tried to kill Trump kind of went away.
It did. Well, didn't that guy get shot, though?
Yeah, he's dead.
Yeah.
But now he's gone. Poof, gone. No one talks about it.
Do you think P. Diddy is in prison waiting for the Clintons to just kill him?
Do you think...
Every day I'd be looking for them.
I don't think the Clintons were involved with P. Diddy. Do you?
No, but Epstein.
Was Epstein involved with P. Diddy?
No, I just feel like these pedophile rings have to cross points at some point.
The P. Diddy thing sounds like just complete unchecked depravity. Like, I don't even think he was gay. He was just fucking guys.
But
Maybe he's gay, but it seems like he's
I
just
think you have to be a
depraved.
little gay. Because then he would just
Oh
be
yeah, for
fucking
sure. At
women.
least for like 10 minutes.
he's at least bi.
Well, I mean, it might just be whatever drugs are taking. Like, I don't understand it. When that whole, like, I think I had peripherally heard that P. Diddy had big parties, but I never
Right.
heard of freak-offs or any, I never heard of that
either.
stuff until pretty recently, like post-pandemic. I think, Jamie, when did you first hear about, like, P. Diddy parties?
I mean, I would think that I've heard about him having big
Your
parties.
mic has to be off because of Carl's breathing.
Breathing pretty heavy still right now. I'm trying to keep it down.
Oh my God, he's so cute.
He's adorable. Carl and Marshall, they go at it every
First
time he comes here.
I don't know. I've heard of. I don't even know what rumors I would have heard. I just heard
But it was
he's
not.
got crazy parties. I did nothing.
Yeah, it was never like in the zeitgeist. It was never.
It's just weird too because he always had the white parties where you have to wear all white, and I just feel like that's the worst color for body fluid.
Ew. Yeah, right. Just shit.
Maybe that's how he
blood.
kept track of who he fucked. He's like, that person's already gotten it. That person's already covered in disgusting stuff. That's how he kept track of it.
There's so many horrific accusations though involving young singers, like children.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
It's insane.
He makes R. Kelly look like a decent guy.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
It is crazy. And meanwhile, the guy was like hanging out with Oprah, hanging out with Obama.
Jay-Z, everyone.
Everybody.
I'm sure the Clintons were there at some point.
Maybe Bill.
Bill is so nice.
I went one time. Was he?
He's so nice. Like when I
So
met
charming.
them, he is, and he's actually still kind of good looking. Like even for an
like him?
older dude.
Yeah?
Yeah, why not? He's still so good looking, and she's just so miserable.
Well, she's publicly humiliated, and she thought that her big retribution would become president. Become president.
Sure.
And then that would be it. All water under the bridge. I'm a strong woman. I'm running this country. And then America was like, nah.
I mean, it doesn't matter what color you are. America does not want a woman in charge.
Well, that's not exactly true because she won the popular vote.
Not Kamala, though.
No, but Kamala was a terrible candidate. The difference between her and Hillary, it's
That's
night
true.
and day.
Well, Hillary had a lot of experience, too. She's been doing this for a long time.
Sure. She was a Secretary of State, and on top of that, she could answer questions.
Sure.
Like, you could have a question with her about, like, what would we do differently if you were president about the Israel-Gaza conflict?
Sure.
She would have something off the top of her head. What would you do differently than Joe Biden? She wouldn't say, I can't think of a thing. She would never say that.
No.
Kamala Harris is just not good.
She's definitely not good at interviewing either.
No, I mean, I don't know if she's good at running things because you'd have to be behind the scenes to see how that works.
Sure.
But when it comes to like talking off the top of her head, what she's good at is a rehearsed speech that she reads off a teleprompter.
Sure, but if
Pretty
someone asks
solid.
you a rogue question, then you have to be ready to
gone.
answer it.
Yeah, when rogue questions, like you have to be able to say what differentiates you from Biden. You have to. That's pretty simple.
You're just like, well, I'm still alive.
Yeah, that too.
That's-
That would be funny if she said that.
Right. That's what she should do. If she could be funny, people
Well, I'm
love
there.
a funny person.
I can answer questions. I can look you in the eye.
Yeah.
I
She could have
remember
just
what I'm
been
talking
funny.
about. Yes.
I was surprised she didn't come on the podcast a little bit.
It seems like, and this is all reports, these are all anecdotal reports, right? But it seems like her campaign was kind of chaotic. Like no one could make a decision. They had, I don't know how many conversations with my folks.
Right.
But multiple conversations, giving different dates, different times, different this, different that. And we knew that she was going to be in Texas. So I said, open invitation.
Right. You said you can come whenever you want.
Anytime. You pick a time, I will be here.
And you would have been the best person for her to talk to because you're not going to attack her. You would just ask her questions, but that's the problem. I don't know if she'd be able to answer those questions.
I'll ask her a question, but I think they had requirements on things that she didn't want to talk about. She didn't want to talk about marijuana legalization, which I thought was hilarious.
Why?
Like that's so... Because of her prosecuting record.
Oh, well, I mean, that was her old job, though.
Yeah. And, she put a lot of people in jail for weed. 1,500, apparently.
That's not really
Allegedly.
that many, though. 1,500.
Tell those guys. Those
Are they still-
1,500
are they
together in a
still
room.
in prison?
No.
Oh, okay.
I think
Then they're
everyone's
fine
been
now.
released. Well,
Prison really builds character. You go in there, you really figure out what kind of person you are.
I bet it does. Yeah. But when you are held past your release date to fight wildfires
Yeah.
for the state, because Kamala Harris wants you to do that.
Sure.
With the swipe of my pen.
Right. You guys are, I mean, it's not
Yeah.
like the worst idea to just clean up the wildfires.
Well, you should probably pay people for all work.
Sure.
Even
but
prisoners.
that's just free.
I got a problem with all that. I mean, I have a problem with slave labor in prison because it's essentially mandated.
Right.
Like, you have to have a job in some prisons.
But I mean, what else are you going to do in prison? Like if you're
Read books, do push-ups.
Okay, but at some point,
not have someone
I'm
tell you
gonna,
what to do.
If I'm going to want to do hair, I'm going to want to cook at some point. Like you just do need a routine. Otherwise, the time never. How many books can you read every single day?
That's true. That's true. Yeah. How many yoga classes can you take?
You just need a schedule, kind of, just to like. I don't know. That just helps your day go by. Like even if you hated it, you still need. Like when I was on unemployment for a period, I'm like, I'm actually very bored. You know what I mean? Like you like it for a couple of days, but you need that routine to kind of like. I don't know. If I was in prison, I'd want a job.
This episode is brought to you by The Farmer's Dog. Dogs are amazing. They're loyal. They're lovable. Like, just having Marshall around can make my day 10 times better. And I'm sure you love your dog just as much, and you want to do your best to help them live longer, healthier, happier lives. And a healthy life for your dog starts with healthy food, just like it does for us. There's a reason having a balanced diet is so important. So how do you know if your dog's food is as healthy and as safe as it can be? Well, Farmer's Dog gives you that peace of mind by making fresh, real food developed by board-certified nutritionists to provide all the nutrients your dog needs. And their food is human grade, which means it's made to the same quality and safety standards as human food. Very few pet foods are made to this strict standard. And let's be clear, human-grade food doesn't mean the food is fancy. It just means it's safe and healthy. It's simple, real food from people who care about what goes into your dog's body. The Farmer's Dog makes it easy to help your dog live a long, healthy life by sending you fresh food that's pre-portioned just for your dog's needs. Because every dog is different. And I'm not just talking about breeds. From their size to their personality to their health, every dog is unique. Plus, precise portions can help keep your dog at an ideal weight, which is one of the proven predictors of a long life. Look, no one, dog or human, should be eating highly processed foods for every meal. It doesn't matter how old your dog is. It's always a great time to start investing in their health and happiness. So, try the Farmer's Dog today. You can get 50% off your first box of fresh, healthy food at thefarmersdog.com/Rogan. Plus, you get free shipping. Just go to thefarmersdog.com/Rogan. Tap the banner or visit this episode's page to learn more. Offer applicable for new customers only. This is my fear when it comes to automation, AI, and then ultimately I think everyone's going to have universal basic income. I think all countries are going to have it. I think the United States is going to have it too. And people need a purpose. They need a thing.
For sure.
They need an identity. And a lot of people identify with whatever their job is. You know, they take pride in it. It means something to them to show up at work and have people say they do a great job and you're very valuable to the company and you know, the customers like you, and all that stuff is really good for people. It's good for self-esteem. It's good for giving you a purpose. If universal basic income is a thing, which I think it's going to have to be a thing, it's going to be real weird psychologically for people to adjust to that.
I think there'd probably be a lot of riots. Like, I don't know, what else would you do?
Just riot with government money.
Yeah, I was thinking Trump might not win and there was going to be a bunch of riots and I would be able to just get like a free computer. Like, I was kind of hoping for that.
Well, you can buy a computer, Adrienne. You're
No, I want it for free.
successful comedian.
Listen, a free computer is better than a computer you have to pay for.
Is it?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you feel guilty at all?
No, if they're rioting, everything's for free. That's the rule.
That was the rule during George Floyd.
But that's what I'm saying. During Black Lives Matter, I lived by a CVS that was like getting broken into all the time. I have like shampoo and conditioner for years.
Did you go in there?
Yeah, why not? I was in there when it was happening. I was
You're
like,
gonna
well,
get arrested. Shh,
how?
Don't say that. No. These are all jokes, right?
wink. They're all jokes.
Wink is all
Listen,
lies.
I was just supporting Black Lives Matter, and that's how you do it.
That's how you do it. You get shampoo for free.
Shampoo and conditioner.
Yeah. The most racist thing I ever saw was a CVS that had everything locked up except sunscreen.
I mean, that's pretty much how it is in every CVS. And white people don't buy sunscreen because we want to be dark. So no one's stealing it or buying it.
Yeah. Good call. They do if they're worried about cancer. If you're one of those people, it puts it everywhere, all over your face. Meanwhile, you're putting toxic chemicals all over your face.
People
to
do
protect
that, and
yourself
they're
from
like smoking
cancer.
cigarettes. It's like, what are you doing? Just get cancer.
Well, I was reading this thing where they were talking about that. See if you can find this. So what this person was saying was that people who spend less time in the sun are more likely to get deadly skin cancer.
Is it because your body's not used to it? Or?
Yeah, you get cooked. You know, your body doesn't have any melanin, so you go out there and you get like fucking burnt to death, and your body develops cancers. But also, you don't have vitamin D. So vitamin D is like a critical hormone, and it protects you from a lot of things. It's crucial for your immune system. It's crucial for a lot of different functions.
It's also interesting because one time we were at the cellar and Louis kept telling me that I needed vitamin D because I'm so white, and I was just like, is that a real thing? It just sounds like dick. Vitamin. I was like, wait,
Yeah, you
what?
need vitamin D.
I was like, is that like a real
you're
thing?
so white, you need some vitamin D.
So you need to get fucked by somebody. That's going to
That's
help
the
you.
only thing that's going to help you.
It's the only thing that's going to keep me alive.
Imagine if that was true. Imagine if like the only way you could maintain health is to get fucked.
I mean, it makes sense. People that are homeless are just like fingering themselves all the time. There must be something
I think
to
they're
it.
mentally ill.
Sure, but they also are like, I want to stay alive. And be on this I want to prolong this homelessness. Keep me alive as long as we can.
There's a book I read, Fingering Yourself for Health.
I mean, all of the homeless people on 6th Street, they're just like fingering themselves constantly.
Yeah, there's a lot of that kind of activity.
Yeah.
With the homeless people. I think they just give up on shame, on everything, and they just.
I think you're out of your mind. You have
Yeah.
to be out of your mind. Where you're like,
Yeah.
who cares?
There's this poor lady on 6th Street. There's a gas station that I only go to if everything's gone totally wrong and I need gas for sure.
You just run out of it.
But you get out of your car, you're ready to fight people. It's a sketchy gas station.
Oh, I guess.
And there's this poor lady who her head, instead of being like here, her head is like, it's like it's broken. Her neck is broken.
Okay.
And so her head is like down here. And she has to look at you like this. She can't lift her chin off of her sternum, like literally down like this. And she's just a bag of bones, just barely alive.
Like, okay, obviously we're not going to help homeless people. Like, there's no money in helping poor people. Like, let's give them all fentanyl, clean up the streets, do the kindest thing we can for them.
Odium.
Yeah, if I'm on the street for longer than a week, please kill me. It's not going well.
So people have recovered. Just people have gotten their shit
How
together.
many?
I don't know.
How many CEOs were like, I was on the street for
Zero
years,
CEOs.
and then I got some vitamin D. I turned it
Well, how
around.
many CEOs enjoy life? That's the real question. Just because something's difficult to do doesn't mean it's good to do, right?
Sure.
Like some people think that becoming extremely wealthy and running a major corporation because it's difficult to do. That's something you should aspire to. But those guys all die young. They all have heart attacks, strokes.
Yeah, it's a very high stress position.
Insanely high stress, and the hours are insane, and you're probably fucking miserable other than time you're doing coke and banging strippers.
Right. I think I would like the rich part, and then I would just do something with like animals.
Oh, there you
Yeah,
go.
I love animals.
Yeah, I know you do.
People
I
forget,
could tell.
but like,
Well, I brought Marshall just for you.
I mean, Marshall is so beautiful. Like, if I ever go bald, I told you I want like a wig. I don't know how white women are now just wearing golden retrievers wigs because it's beautiful. His hair.
But it would stink when it gets wet.
I mean, everyone thinks white people smell anyway when they get wet. Who gives a shit? You remember the first time you heard that black people thought white people smell like dogs?
I
You're
did
like, we
not.
love dogs.
I have never heard that.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
They always think we smell like dogs. It's like, try hurting my feelings.
Well, I guess if you're around dogs, I think human beings smell if they don't wash. That's all it is. Like, I don't think there's a difference in the smell of black people and white people. And this is coming from
Maybe
someone who
not.
does jujitsu.
Sure, maybe
So
not.
I smell people like that close when their chest pressed up against my face. I've never noticed a difference in human odor.
All I know is black people think white people smell like dogs. Wet dogs when we get wet.
Maybe that's just like a fun thing to say.
I think it's more than one black person saying it.
For real?
Yeah.
I've never heard. Jamie, you ever heard that? Jamie never heard it.
Well, I hang out
Maybe
with
they
a lot of
always
black
saying it
people.
to you.
Yeah.
Weird.
I'm like, that doesn't hurt my feelings. I love dogs.
Yeah, dogs are great.
They're amazing.
If you're going to smell like an animal, I mean, that's not the worst one to smell like. Cats are kind of crazy because they never smell. And they don't even take showers. They just clean themselves.
No, but if you get like one of those hairless ones, you have to like clean their nails and their skin and stuff.
The hairless ones are fucking weird.
They are, but
Curious.
I like them.
Do white people really smell like wet dogs to
See?
black people? The smell comes from hair follicles when they get wet. Hair follicles secrete an oil that spreads somewhat when wet, and a small amount of water gets it. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
And that's from Quora. It's hilarious.
That sounds like a white
But that's
person, though.
hilarious. Go back up to that. Quora is one of those answer websites, right?
Oh, I thought Cora like a black lady. C-O-R-A.
Look at all the Reddit posts that are.
I understand the Reddit post, but here's my point. Quora is like one of those, like, you can ask it, like, how do you make a nuclear bomb?
Sure.
Like that kind of stuff. And imagine if it said, do black people really smell like dogs?
What do black people smell like when they're wet?
I don't think they smell any different than anybody. But the point is,
all
you could
smell like
never have
dogs.
that question on a question webpage.
You can't? They'll
you could,
take it
no
off?
fucking chance. But you could have it about white people.
Could you ask it what Indian people smell like?
I don't think you should. Because they would have a
But
record.
nobody cares about Indian people at all.
Indian people do.
Yeah, but you ever see what they're doing in India?
If
There's
Vivek Ramaswamy
just
becomes
like,
president, you're going to have a real issue with this.
I don't even know who that is.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't know who Vivek is?
I try not to pay attention to what's going on.
Good for you.
I really don't know anything.
Good for you. That's
I know.
so healthy.
I know like very little.
If you can exist like that, it's a good way to be. You know, there's plenty of people in this world that are paying attention.
I know. I'm not one of them though.
Well, I don't have a problem with that. That's Ari Shaffir, too. He doesn't know what the fuck's going
Yeah,
on.
that's why we're good buddies.
Yeah, he has no idea what's happening.
I mean,
You talk to him about laws being passed, he's like, what? That's not real.
yeah, Ari's the best. He's like, but he's also so autistic, which is why like him even producing my special was so good because he's so like focused and he knows exactly what to do.
Very focused. Love stand-up as an art form.
Love stand up. He's the best at like not killing seats for the show. He is the best person for that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he knows how important that is. Yeah. His special that he did was, the Jew special, was so ridiculous because they had to keep those candles lit. And so
Oh, I
like
know,
they
I
had to
was
constantly light them.
I was there for it. I opened for it. It was so hot, and he taped it in June.
Is
It was
it?
so hot. I was on stage. I did like 15 minutes. I'm like, oh, it's really hot in here.
Wait, it's a fire behind you.
I know.
You think about all those candles? How much fire is that? That's a lot of fire.
It's crazy. It was. A
Did they
crazy
have like
amount.
fire extinguishers standing by in case some shit went sideways?
Probably. I'm sure there was some like. There might have been a fire marshal they had to hire just to make sure.
Probably.
But even if the whole place goes on fire, what's he gonna do? He's be like, well, there's a fire. Like,
What's
what is
he gonna do? He's gonna run away.
Right. So what is he
Yeah.
gonna do? Like, I mean, you would need so many fire extinguishers.
No, they're little tiny fires. They're a bunch of little itty bitty fires. There's not like one major, all-consuming fire.
What
like
if it
that.
gets a hold of like
Eh,
the curtain?
eh. If you have fire extinguishers, how far back was the curtain from that? Was there a curtain at all?
I'm pretty sure
there was a curtain.
I'm pretty sure there's a curtain. Yeah. It looks beautiful though.
Yeah, it's not as easy to light things on fire as you think. And if fire marshals are standing by with a fire extinguisher, they put that shit out real quick, and that would actually be kind of funny.
Yeah.
They'd probably keep that on the show.
That'd be fun if
What
there
a
was a
stupid
fire.
idea to have a bunch of fucking candles on stage.
That'd be amazing.
Well, he was running that special
I was with him.
forever, for a long time. And then, the whole Kobe thing happened, and he stopped, and then he came back.
What's crazy, I was with him in, I guess it was Charlotte when the whole Kobe thing happened. And he was sick. I was like, we were on the road. I was like, just go to sleep. And then I wake up and I'm like, what did you do? I was like, you're sick. You're supposed to go to sleep. And then I was like, oh, Ari. And then the funniest part is people are like, we're going to kick your ass if you're ever in North Carolina. And he's like, I'm there. And they're like, all right, well, if you come to where I'm at, we're going to kick your ass.
Well, he was really into making fun of people when they died because everybody was like really kind to people when they die. And he was always like, fuck them. Some of them were really funny. The Kobe one was not. But some of them were really funny.
Sure. I also don't think he knew, he didn't know, the daughter was there. He was just...
Right.
He was just doing it about Kobe.
Jamie, your microphone is rubbing.
I got it. It was him.
Oh. Yeah. But just... he doesn't do that anymore, thank God.
What's funny is the Uber came to pick us up the next day, and it's, just a black dude picking us up. And he's like, I got to go to the bathroom. He takes us to a transient bus station.
The Uber guy?
Yes.
Oh God.
And I'm like, does this guy know
It's a setup.
I'm like, are we gonna get murdered? The guy leaves for 20, 30 minutes to take a shit.
No way.
Yeah, before we're going to the airport.
No way.
He did, and I was like, this is crazy.
I would have ordered a second Uber to pick me up where the first Uber was.
No, we were ready to get murdered.
You were ready?
We were just sitting there.
The time is now. If this is my fate.
This is my fate. We're dying right
Imagine
now.
if you die because Ari Shafir decides. First of all, for the longest time, Ari realized that he could not have a phone because he would be addicted to social media, and it was terrible for his mental health.
And that's what happened.
And so he had a flip phone forever.
Oh, I know.
And I was like, good for you. David Tell still has a flip phone.
He does.
And it's brilliant. The people that do it, Sebastian Younger, he came in here, he still has a flip phone. There's people that rock a flip phone.
If he would have not had that flip phone, he wouldn't have done the Kobe stuff.
Oh, 100%. But I think things like that ultimately are good.
Yeah, he doesn't regret it. If you talk to him,
he shouldn't have done it, right? But he knows he shouldn't have done it, and that's just another layer of experience in life and just overcoming this horrific cancellation.
Should he not have done it though?
In hindsight, yeah, I think it's probably not a good thing to do. To mock
Ari
a guy
loves
and his
that,
daughter
though.
who died in a
But he didn't
helicopter
mock the
crash.
daughter. He just mocked him.
It's true. Yeah.
So I asked him, do you regret doing it? He's like, no.
Of course he said.
And nobody really, people were upset. That's the whole thing with cancellations. People are upset for 2-3 days and then they forget.
Well, especially in this news cycle. This news cycle
Right.
is so crazy. It's just, no matter what happens, there's always something right around the corner that just covers it up.
Just a new thing to get
Yeah,
upset
just
about.
another wave comes in and you no longer, it fades. Whatever it is.
Bridget sent me that thing about the FEMA person who got fired because if you had a Trump, if you had a Trump thing on your.
Can you imagine that?
I know, but it's if you have any signs, that means your house didn't get hit hard by a hurricane.
No.
Come on.
No, because you could have a Biden sign. Look, it doesn't
Right,
matter. It
any
doesn't,
sign. But that's
right.
what I'm saying. If you have
Depends
any
on how the sign
sign,
was secured. Depends entirely on how the sign was secured.
if your roof came off, you think that sign's going to be there?
Bottom line is that's not what she was saying. What she was saying is avoid all houses that have a Trump sign. You cannot do that.
Oh, I know. But I'm just saying what's funny to me is if you have a sign and it didn't lift off the ground, how hard was your house
Could be
hit?
flooding. Your house could have been completely flooded. You have no power, no electricity, no running water. Yeah.
I guess.
Your house needs to be drained. It's federal emergency management. It's not supposed to be federal emergency management for whoever this one person who's in charge with ideologically
Oh,
agrees
absolutely.
with.
I was making a joke. If you have any sign
Right.
there and it survived a hurricane, your house is probably fine.
Right.
Also, I want FEMA funds to go to the fire festival. That's all our money should be going through is white guys trying to run a festival who fail.
Do you know that guy's doing another one?
I know. It's not a fire festival.
He's
is
calling
it?
I think he's calling it Fire Festival too. Is he?
I think so,
Yeah, and
It has-
he's charging like $1 million a ticket. His move is to just charge an insane amount of money and see how fucking stupid some people are.
I mean, I love that.
The whole thing was nuts. It's like one dude, it's always like some guy who you think could be selling Bitcoin or a pyramid scheme, and now he's decided to put on a music festival.
Because he wants to be cool. You know what I mean? Like doing
wants
that.
to party with people.
He wants to party with people.
But didn't he get like famous people to go?
I think a lot of people pulled out.
At the last minute?
Yeah.
Probably when they heard.
No, but who was the guy that was like not Jadakiss? Who was doing
Ja Rule?
Ja Rule was doing it with him. I mean, if you have Ja Rule on anything, it's not gonna be well.
Was Ja Rule one of the organizers?
I think he was just like one of the faces of it. I don't know if he put money in it or not.
Right, like he gave him a piece of it or something like that.
I don't know. He was there. They brought all these influencers out, and I mean, listen, if he pulled it off, it would have been pretty good. I mean, he did have everyone post at the same time at like, what was it, that orange box or something. So like everyone saw it and they were like, oh, what's this? And then all these like rich kids are there and they're like crying because they're eating. I mean, honestly, the Fire Festival was for all of us. That's what it was.
Right.
For all of us to see all these kids crying in these FEMA tents. And it was amazing. It was amazing.
See if you can find his videos. Or he's trying to promote Fire Festival too. So he's walking down the street of New York City saying that so many tickets are already sold, and if you want,
I think they sold a lot of tickets.
I'm looking to buy one, and I can't find the website to buy them. Not that I want to go. I just want to see.
Well, it might not even be real. He might be completely insane.
There's
at
a
this
lot of
point.
press about it.
About Fire Festival too.
Yeah, posted on multiple websites. This was all happening. It could have just been a press release, from,
Right.
You know,
Where's Fire Festival 2 going to be?
somewhere in Mexico on April 25th through 28th.
Oh my God, I hope the cartel
This
finds
year?
out.
No, coming up, yeah.
This year
6
coming up,
6
yeah.
months.
Wow. Who the fuck is gonna go?
Who's going to Mexico for a fucking Fire Festival? That's crazy. Just go to Cancun. It's so much closer.
Yeah,
Fire
yeah.
Festival.
Go to Puerto Vallarta. You don't have to go to Fire Festival. What's the place that all the kids go to? Tulum. They love to party in Tulum.
Yeah, have it there.
I don't know why Tulum. This is not one. That's like one of the major places where they have those Aztec ruins, I think, or Mayan ruins. I don't know why Tulum is like the big. It's like where like
beautiful
hippies and psychedelic people go. They go to Tulum. They do a lot of Instagram posts.
I mean, that's all. Everything's about an Instagram post.
I was watching this lady and her boyfriend the other day. We were walking on the street, and they had basically taken up the entire street because the girl was sitting on this like marble bench, and she was posing, and you couldn't walk in between the two of them, and he was like 12 feet away from her. So there was like what is this?
You're just stopping. I mean, I would have went. Right
and it
through
was a
them.
long photo shoot. Like it went on for a couple minutes. It was fucking stupid as shit. She kept changing her pose and her face and the angle that he photographed her at. I wanted to take his phone away. I'm like, hey, fuckhead, get out of the way.
Yeah, they do that. I was in CVS and they were doing a sketch, and everyone's like, "You got to get out of here."
A sketch in
yeah,
CVS?
there's a bunch of people with cameras, and they were trying to do a sketch, and they were screaming, and this girl was like, this girl behind the counter is a nice girl, and she's also like a little bit slow, so she's trying to get these people out of there. It's just like chaos.
Everybody.
I get why
wants
people steal in
attention.
CVS because nobody helps you, and you're like, I will just steal. It's just, you're better off stealing than waiting there for somebody to come help you. It's just a nightmare.
The amount of people that I've seen working at those kind of stores that have like some sort of odd wound.
An eye wound?
Some odd, like something like their head looks oddly shapen, like they get hit with a brick, like something.
Well, that's where
off.
veterans go to work. They send you back.
To CVS? Yeah. Really?
I don't know.
No, you just making that up?
I make a lot of stuff up.
There's so many of these fucking sketches and pranks that people are doing now on YouTube. It's like everybody, if you look at kids today, like they did some sort of a survey where they asked kids, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And most of them said famous.
Yeah, I mean, you could get famous opening like unboxing videos. Like I
Yeah.
mean, if
Looking
you
at
could do
food.
that, why wouldn't you want to do that? I mean, I'd have a kid just to see if they could do that.
Well, you know that kid on TikTok, Keith Lee? Do you know who he is? He just reviews food.
No.
With a sort of a monotone voice. He's actually brothers with he was an MMA fighter himself. And he's brothers with Kevin Lee, who was a top UFC contender at one point in time. And he just does these like sort of monotone videos where he reviews food.
Is he like
Super
he's-
popular.
Wow.
Yeah. Like how many?
It's like, why even go to school if you
Look
could
at
just
this.
unbox a video?
One of a kind study shows that 27 million paid creators operating in the U.S., 11.6 million of them working full-time as creators. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
Is that our number one job?
if you're from another country and you're like, why don't we just bomb America?
Wait a minute, that might be...
That's
what's
crazy.
isn't the number one job driving vehicles in the United States? Which is one of the things they're really worried about when it comes to automation, because that's one of the first jobs that's going to go.
I've seen those cars where they're operating. There's no one operating them and they're just driving.
They're weird. Okay, number one occupation, retail salesperson is 3 million. Home and health personal care is 3 million as well. Both of them are 3,700,000. General and operations managers 3,500,000. Fast food counter workers 3,400,000. Show them all.
What's interesting
16
is
more rows.
the retail and the home health aides, they're the same people doing both jobs because they can't afford to live. Just one job.
So drivers isn't even in the top 10. That's interesting. I thought it was like one of the top ones. So cooks is 2,700,000, and that's number 10. Stockers, order fillers, 2,800,000. And so influencers was what, 1 million? That's what it was? 11. Wait a minute. So that's more than that.
Yeah.
So what the fuck? So go back to that chart again. 11.6.
That's like the top 4 combined almost.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So that's the most common job.
That's-
So why is it saying retail salesperson? It's like literally
Yeah.
3 times more common than that.
Well, I have to then dig into where they're getting their data from, I guess. But
Wow.
yeah, it says retail has been the most common job in the U.S. since 1997.
Not anymore, bitches.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So that means an influencer or content creator, whatever the fuck you want to call people, that's me too, I guess. That's the number one job.
is.
Podcasting. I used to have a joke back when it was just reality shows that there's going to be a reality show about a cameraman on a reality show. That
Somebody's filming him.
someone's filming the cameraman on reality. What a crazy job. You are a cameraman on a reality show. And then someone's going to say, but who's the cameraman behind the cameraman?
Right.
And then it's going to be like 2 mirrors facing each other. The United States is going to be filled with just camera people filming other camera people.
I'm into it.
It was a joke, but it's kind of true now. Like once, because back when I said this was like, 2000 something when I was on Fear Factor. There was no social media stars. It didn't exist. And social media itself didn't exist. But now that it does, now that you see the impact that it has and how many people are making a living as, air quotes, content creators, it's kind of fucking crazy.
It's incredible.
Yeah. It's a totally new market that emerged out of nowhere. And according to that thing, at least, it's the number one job in the country.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. People are making a ton of money off of it. That's why people are like filming every single thing that they do.
Yeah.
And just putting it on Instagram or TikTok.
Well, they learned from the Kardashians that it doesn't even have to be interesting.
No, it doesn't.
You just have to have a new scene every 5 seconds. It's just
And also, if
5
it's like
seconds.
something crazy, if somebody's fighting, like a fight.
That helps.
Yeah.
But that doesn't even matter. All you have to do is just constantly switch angles. Do you ever watch a reality show? Mm-hmm. The scenes constantly change.
Just switching.
My wife watches that stupid fucking Kardashian show. And
I'll watch it too, but
she puts it
sometimes
on in the
it's
gym.
so monotone. Like it's just one monotone person to another monotone person.
She just likes the clothes and the
I
pretty
understand.
houses.
I mean, listen, I've
and
watched
design.
the Kardashians. I get it.
But the point is, every 5 seconds, the camera changes angles. You never have like a podcast.
Yeah.
It's just you and me. The only thing that changes is your camera's on when you're talking, my camera's on when we're talking. Sometimes it's both of us talking on camera.
I mean, I wish Kris Jenner was my mother. I mean, the way she's made these kids so famous, like, could you imagine telling your kid to fucking have a sex scene and then release it?
Do you think that she did that?
Yes, she absolutely did that.
For sure?
I think so.
Really?
I'm pretty sure.
I reserve judgment.
I think she did, and I think it was the smartest thing she could have done for all their careers.
Definitely worked.
Absolutely.
And then everybody has sex. Like,
Right.
You want to watch? Go watch.
Go watch it.
Yeah.
But the fact, like, you would never think a mom would put that out there, but it was like pretty brilliant. My mom would never do something like that for me.
Well, she's a little unconventional.
Sure. Yeah, it takes an unconventional woman to like release your kid's sex tape.
She kind of turned her husband into a woman and basically made the entire clan super rich.
Even Rob is
Super rich.
They're all rich.
Crazy rich. Yeah, for no reason. Like
Because of that sex tape.
Right, but like that is kind of the seed.
It is.
Yeah. Because
Ray J was more famous than Kim when they did that.
Right.
And now Ray J's like nowhere.
I know. That's,
Like
that's
if
gotta
his
suck.
mother also was on top of it with Chris, he could have been a bigger star too. Nobody gives a shit about Ray J anymore.
That's crazy that he didn't capitalize on that.
Because his mom wasn't Kris Jenner.
Right, but why didn't he figure out a way? Because like
I don't know.
What's unique about her way of thinking?
I think it's just Kim is very pretty.
That helps. He's a
And
good looking guy though.
He is a good looking guy.
Got a big dick, right?
I assume. I never saw the video.
How dare you lie to me like that, right to my face?
That he has a big dick?
No, that you never saw the video.
I didn't. I saw the video, but I didn't see his dick in it.
What did you see?
I think I saw it too late. I seen
Did
it
you
years
black
later.
out?
I seen it years later. I checked it out too late when the dick wasn't in it.
What? The dick was removed eventually?
I think the dick was eventually
on.
removed. I don't know. I've been
bet
searching for it pretty hard.
I bet Jamie can find it right now on Pornhub.
Let's see.
Can you find it?
Pornhub is blocked in Texas, Joe.
Oh no. Well, you know what?
Why
you got
is
to
it
have
blocked
certain
in
laws
Texas?
if you want to have free guns.
Why is it blocked in Texas?
It's
That's
not
the weirdest
blocked.
thing.
It's not blocked. You just have to have proof that you're 18.
How do you prove that? With
You
your
have to
license?
upload, yeah.
You have
to,
Kris Jenner say that you're over 18?
You have to have proof.
Okay, I guess. Well, I'm going to go home and search it.
Well, porn addiction for kids is a real thing.
I dated a guy that had porn addiction.
Yeah. What happened?
I mean, we broke up eventually. He was also a little autistic. And then he went to see a sex therapist, and then I think they were fucking, so I guess she fixed it.
What? He fucked his sex therapist?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. For real?
I mean, that's what he told me. I don't think he was, like, lying about it.
What a bitch.
Yeah, but you
Jeez.
have to, like, it's like any other addiction. You have to, like, stop doing it. I didn't
Right.
even know he had it.
I'm just focusing on the sex therapist.
Yeah.
Like, how crazy is it she's fucking her clients? Maybe her
Maybe that's how
boyfriend
she-
wasn't fucking her at all. And she was like, at least someone's obsessed with it.
Well, maybe.
Give it to me.
Maybe that's how she cures you.
Because if you're horny, if you're like a healthy person who's just horny normally, and the person you're with is not horny at all, and you're exhausted by that, but you're
Sure.
a sex therapist, and then you're talking to some guy, he's a good-looking guy, and he's like, I want to fuck all the time.
That's the thing with...
And she's like, you know what? I want to fuck all the time too.
Sure. But
And
like
then
with
the two of
porn
them.
addiction, you're so used like he would have like 300 screens open at once. So one person to him is boring. So that's what
Jesus
like porn
Christ.
addiction
Wait a
is. You
minute,
need
for
so
real?
many. I'm exaggerating, but you need like a lot of different things open, and it probably has to get more and more progressive for you to like get off.
Wow. Well, that's where it gets real weird, right? Like you start getting into like the darker side of porn. Like violent porn and choking and gagging, spitting and slapping and abuse,
Sure.
tying people up, that kind of shit. Like, because if you're just getting your jollies, if you're not just trying to masturbate and have a little fantasy, you want to like, it's got to get darker and crazier and it's got to like really freak you
But
out.
that's why I think you have all those screens open. You're
Yeah,
watching
yeah.
all of it at once.
You're getting tiny dopamine hits from 100 sources.
Right.
Yeah.
So then like
And
just
then
having
your
sex with-
therapist calling you up. Get over here.
I got
You're a
300 other
naughty
therapists here.
boy. You're a naughty boy. Get over here.
Yeah. So I mean,
How did he say that it started with the sex therapist?
I don't know. He didn't tell me like the specifics of it. We had been broken up already, and we like remained friends. And he just told me that they started sleeping together.
Jesus. That seems crazy. That's like prison guards fucking the prisoners.
I mean, if I was in prison, I would try and fuck all the guards. What
would
else are you
too.
gonna do?
Yeah.
I would do everything. I'd become Muslim. I would like become trans. I would do everything I could do in prison
Right. Just mix it
to
up.
pass the time.
Yeah, especially if you have a long sentence.
If you're there for life,
Yeah.
I'm down to do everything.
Yeah.
I'll do license
course.
plates. I'm gonna do hair. I'm gonna cook. I'm gonna do everything there.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. It's weird how many people are in prison. I mean, we went over this the other day. How many people are in prison in the United States compared to like the rest of the fucking world? It's like we have the highest percentage of people that are in prison, I think, of any country in the Western world for sure. I mean, you got China's hard to count because you have essentially slaves.
Well, also in China, they all live in like tiny boxes anyway, which are prisons of
Yeah.
their own doing.
Well, like you wouldn't say necessarily that the people that make your iPhone are slaves, but they're literally sleeping in dorms and they put nets around the building to keep them from jumping
Right.
off.
I'd rather be in prison. How do you
Yeah.
get in prison in
At
China?
least in prison, they probably like give you less hours than the Foxconn workers.
Sure.
You probably get better food. How many people? End of 2023, the U.S. had 1.8 million people in prison, which is more than any other country. China had the second highest number of prisoners, with about 100,000 fewer than the U.S. But the thing about China, again, like it's not just the amount of people in an actual prison. You have to think about the actual people that are slaves. U.S. is the highest incarceration rate in the world, 724 people per 100,000. England and Wales has an incarceration rate of 145 per 140,000, and Russia has 581 people per 100,000. So Russia's nipping at our heels. Russian people are fucking crazy, though. U.S. has longer sentences than many other countries, which contributes to the high incarceration rates. I wonder how many other countries have private prisons, too. That's the dark part.
Well, that's how you make the money.
Yeah. Profit off of people. I remember when I found out that prison guard unions were lobbying to keep marijuana laws because they wanted people to be in jail. I was like, what?
Yeah, because
Like,
they want to
they
make
want
money.
money.
Yeah.
They need that job. They need those contracts. So many countries have private prisons, including United States has the most private prisons in the world, 158 facilities in 30 states, Puerto Rico, and the District of Columbia. Australia, high percentage of privatized prisons. New Zealand, United Kingdom, Scotland, Wales, South Africa, Japan, Brazil. When did they start with the private prison thing? Like what fucking monster? Okay, Google this. What was the first private prison? What fucking monster didn't see the road ahead when you allow people to profit off of people being locked up? What monster didn't see you're going to just have people lock more people up? 1984, these motherfuckers. It's George Orwell. Literally is Orwell.
I would have thought it was before that.
No, it's a fairly recent thing. Prison used to be something that we used to have because we had to lock certain people up to protect them from society. And instead it became, hey, I think I can make money. I think I can make money off people in jail. They're using people like batteries to generate money.
This thing says Louisiana privatized its penitentiary. I don't know if there's a big differentiation between
1844.
Privatized, which was run as a factory. Yeah, inmates were used to produce cheap clothing for enslaved people. Wow. That's crazy. You're producing clothes for slaves.
I mean, that is basically just Shein. That's what they're doing in China.
Right.
All those clothes that are like $2.
Yeah, that's weird, right? You
I
can
know.
buy a total knockoff of a designer dress for like $4.
I know. It's great. I
And
love it.
They think you love it. I think there's a documentary on that I was watching. My kid was watching it, and I walked in on it.
Was it like the Shein documentary?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were talking about these people, like they lost the contract because they weren't able to produce things as fast as this company needed them. And it was just all about the knockoff industry over there.
Sure.
So if you're a designer, you make like that top that you're wearing and people like it, they'll just take that top and copy it exactly and sell it for $5, and you're like, what? It's $59 on my website. Nope, $5.
Why are there not knockoff iPhones?
There are. Not only is there not not only is there a knockoff iPhone, there's a knockoff Apple store in China where every single item is not really Apple.
But it works just as good. It does not work as good.
I doubt it.
How long does it last?
Why wouldn't they cut corners? They're already lying to you.
I know.
Like why wouldn't they put a cheaper chip in the laptops when they put cheaper screens? If you want to use like Gorilla Glass and AMOLED displays, that's just expensive. Use some cheap ass, 5-year ago bullshit and just sell it
If
to
it lasts for a
morons.
couple of years, that's great.
5-year-old bullshit still works.
Yeah, it does.
It's not great though.
I mean, I drop my
Sucks.
phone all the time.
Try to register with the Apple store and they're like, nah, player. That's ain't an iPhone.
That's why you need Riot so you can steal the stuff. It all comes back to that. Stealing all the stuff.
But someone's got to make the stuff. Slaves.
Yeah, in
Slaves
China.
in prison in China.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what percentage of let's ask this. What percentage of our electronics is made in China?
probably 95%.
Well, a lot gets made in Japan and South Korea, like Sony, huge. Samsung, huge. They're probably one of the biggest electronic makers. They make everything. They make refrigerators. They make like smart refrigerators where you can like check your refrigerator with your phone to see what the fuck's in
To
there.
make sure your refrigerator is like not doing something.
Yeah, checking on you. Keep an eye on that.
What's going on in
motherfucker.
there?
What are you doing?
How many ice cubes have you made?
You lazy bitch. Where's my fucking ice cubes from your refrigerator or from your freezer? Are they the dirtiest ice cubes of all time? Like,
I said
I don't ever
95%.
want those in my glass.
I just remember I think the
Yo.
Apple stuff is all coming from China.
You nailed it. Oh yeah, all the stuff that gets made actually gets made from Apple. That's all China. Laptops and computer monitors. China supplies 92% of U.S. imports. Phones, China supplies 74% of U.S. phone imports. So Samsung does not use China for phones. And I don't know if it's an ethical thing or what, but I think they make their phones in India and somewhere else. Maybe Vietnam.
Is there a correlation between them like stopping killing baby girls in China with making all of this stuff? Where they like, let's keep them alive so we could have them.
No, I
making
think
products.
they just woke up and said we have like 85% men,
Right.
and all these poor women are fucked. You know, like
They have to keep fucking all these guys.
Yeah, I mean,
there's not enough women.
they have to live with like 3 or 4 guys just to balance it out.
Gross.
Take turns.
Competition. They're not as highly competitive in China, it sounds like.
They relocated some of the manufacturing from China to Southeast Asia to avoid high labor costs. What?
See?
Those slaves are expensive, Adrian.
Uh-huh.
Samsung also hasn't been able to compete with Chinese brands like Xiaomi, Oppo, and Vivo in the Chinese market. Interesting.
I've never even heard of those brands.
Yeah, they make Xiaomi makes like high-end Android phones. In the rest of the world, Android phones are huge.
I know.
Because everybody uses WhatsApp. They don't really give a fuck about iMessage.
WhatsApp is like big in the Hispanic community too.
Yeah, WhatsApp is huge. Well, I have friends that only talk to me on WhatsApp.
I do too.
Yeah. Like, well, Zuckerberg owns it. You know, he owns it. But I don't talk to him other than WhatsApp. He's a WhatsApp, but he owns WhatsApp.
You talk to him on WhatsApp?
Yeah, I
What does
talk
he-
to him
What
on
does he
WhatsApp.
say?
We talk shit about things.
Yeah. He's like, what's up?
He's a nice guy. He
Is
really
he?
is. He's a billionaire. Yeah, he's a nice guy. It's when someone's like really rich, like, oh, that guy's not a person.
Yeah, but he
Some
didn't start
weird
out rich
robot.
though, did he?
No,
So.
of course not. He invented Facebook.
Yeah, but some people are rich and they like had their families had money the whole time.
That's
so that
weird.
Yeah.
That's weird, right? Because then you're insulated from birth, and then you go right into a deeper layer of insulation where
And
you're like
money.
completely disconnected from people. That's when you get into like Bill Gates category, which let's figure out a way to block out the sun. You get into, like,
You're
some-
so rich where you're like, I really want to fuck shit up for everyone.
Imagine, like, I was reading this thing about Bill Gates' idea to block out the sun, and whoopsies, Jamie.
Sorry.
No worries, it happens.
I'll
all
clean
the
it. I'm a
fucking
woman.
time.
I'll clean it.
Yeah.
I know my place.
Like they were talking about Bill Gates has some plan to stop global warming and like shoot particles into the air to block out the sun. And people are like, hey, do you know how many fucking people are on Earth? You can't just come up with that idea and try it. Like, what about the rest of us? This is
You
the
all
whole
need
point.
vitamin D.
But imagine being so ridiculous that you're so wealthy that you think, oh, I could just block the sun.
I
Like,
kind of love it. I kind of love that this guy's so nuts.
he is nuts.
And then you're like, I'm just going to stop like water from like you're just going to like I love somebody that thinks they can do that much damage to the world.
I think people should just stop eating meat. And then he just like tries to get everybody to eat stupid fucking
That's
fake
fine, but
meat.
imagine like blocking out the sun.
It's crazy. Yeah. He's also buying farmland.
To do what?
Who
Raise cattle?
fucking knows? Probably grow his fake meat food.
Like GMO shit.
Yeah, well, fake meat is made out of plant protein, and so you have to grow plants. in
I've
order
never
to-
had it.
It's nasty.
I bet it's disgusting.
Well, the thing about it is, like, if you want to have healthy vegetarian food, go eat Indian food. It tastes delicious, it's good for you, and it's vegetarian. Like, it just doesn't have to pretend to be a cheeseburger.
Right.
The
I mean,
fake cheeseburger stuff is all
right, just
seed
eat,
oils.
Just eat legumes and whatever you're gonna eat.
Yeah, if you can do it. Like if you want to eat healthy and have delicious food, Indian food's the way to go. 100. There's an Indian food restaurant in Woodland Hills I used to go to all the time. It was this cool place. It was like everybody spoke Hindi, and you went in there and like you had to like just guess what you were eating. And point. Everything was vegetarian.
That's pretty scary to me.
Oh, it was super, super authentic. It was like there's this weird offshoot Indian community, and so they had like this Indian grocery store, and then in the back of the Indian grocery store they had this cafe, and it was all Indian food. It was really good, though.
They use a lot of spices, too.
Oh, yeah. They know how to spice the shit out of those vegetables. But it was good. It was like delicious vegetables.
It's pretty healthy.
It's
Indian
very
food,
healthy.
Yeah. It's like vegetables and like all of that stuff's pretty good.
Also, they use a lot of turmeric, like and curcumin and those spices. And like that's all anti-inflammatory, turmeric
Right.
is.
I mean, you have to be close to a bathroom, but like it is pretty good.
Let's go. You got to be ready to go.
I'm going to eat this on the run.
But that's my point is like if you want to fucking eat vegetarian, if you want to eat vegetables only, there's a way to do it that tastes good and you don't have to pretend you're eating a fucking burger. Those burgers are
I guess
nasty.
you just feel left out. Like what is the point of pretending to eat that?
Well, it's because the people quit eating meat.
Right.
That's
I
what it is.
understand that.
No, they quit and then they want the meat back. They wish they could have the meat. Oh, you could pretend you're eating the meat. It even bleeds just like a burger.
Gross.
It's
just
all
eat
gross.
a burger or eat beans.
It's
and whatever you're
also
gonna eat.
super duper unhealthy for you.
It can't be healthy
Well,
to manufacture it like that.
it's so processed. If you want to eat vegetables, this is how you eat them. They come on the ground, clean them up,
Put some
cook 'em.
spices.
Cook them. That's
Yeah.
a vegetable. You don't run it through fucking machines and glop it up with oils and extract things and
and crap.
compress it and shut the
You
fuck
ever see like
up.
what tempeh looks like?
Oh, it's nasty.
I know. My friend was eating it one time. I was like, that looks disgusting.
Ugh. I was watching the production of tofu, like from scratch with all these machines. Like, why would you ever think that's natural?
And tofu doesn't taste good. I mean, I know it picks up
tastes
the
okay.
flavor of whatever it
Yeah.
is, but it's like on its own, it has no taste.
No, on its own has no taste. It's a crude source of protein that doesn't have a lot of amino acids in it, and it's not as bioavailable. But you can live on it. Like you can live. You can live on vegetables. You can do it. It's just, it's not advisable.
You just don't have energy, though.
No, you're missing so many things. You're missing creatine. You're missing a bunch of amino acids. You're missing vitamin B12. There's a bunch of things you're going to have to supplement with. There's ways people supplement that can mitigate some of that. Algae's a good one because algae's kind of a life form that's different, and you can get certain vitamins from algae that you can't get from just like plants that grow above ground.
This sounds disgusting.
It does sound disgusting. You know what vegans should really consider adopting into their diet? Mollusks. Because mollusks are actually more primitive than plants. You got to go over the fact they move. Okay, because Venus flytraps move too.
They do.
Okay, would you feel bad about eating a Venus flytrap salad? If you do, you're a cuckoo person. You're not just
Sure.
a vegetarian. You're a cuckoo person. Now you think the Venus flytrap is smarter than like cabbage? That's stupid. That doesn't make any sense.
Do vegetarians not eat any vegetables either? Aren't there some people that believe like all of that's...
fruitarians. That's a fruitarian. Yeah.
So then what do they eat?
Well, those people eat cancer. They die.
I mean, that's
shit-
crazy.
That shit's so bad for you to just only eat fruit. You're overwhelmed with sugar. You're eating sugar all day long. Sugar should be something you have every now and then, I think. I think sugar is generally, it causes all sorts of inflammation, and it's not really good for you. It tastes great, but it's not good for you.
You mean like fruit sugar or like...
Even fruit sugar. I think you should get fruit sugar in the form of fruit only. You definitely shouldn't get it in orange juice.
Sure.
Orange juice is no different than drinking a Coca-Cola.
But what if it's like 100% just orange juice?
Doesn't matter. Your body's not used to processing all
processing
that
it the same
liquid
way?
sugar. Yeah, exactly the same way. Maybe even worse. Because some, like my daughter once got one of them little apple juices from Disneyland, and she looks at it, she goes, Jesus Christ, this has 18 grams of sugar in it. This little
fruit.
tiny thing.
Yeah.
Like, what is a Coca-Cola, Jamie? Is it 30? Let's guess. How many grams of sugar do you think Coca-Cola has in it?
Probably about 40.
40?
38.
Okay. I say about 30. What do you think, Jamie?
I think it's that
Like 30-ish?
39.
39? Okay. That's it?
Yeah, sorry, that's what it is.
Okay.
39.
So what is 12 ounces of orange juice? 12 ounces of, let's say, fresh squeezed. So you think you're eating healthy. Fresh squeezed orange juice.
You still have to be better off having a fruit juice over a Diet Coke.
Not
or not Diet Coke, a regular
Coke. Not much. Well, there is they're both fructose, right?
About 30.
30. Yeah, real similar. Real similar to Coca-Cola. You do get vitamin C. You get that. But if you want orange juice, you should get it from eating oranges. Because
Sure.
that's what your body knows what to do with that. Your body gets a slice of orange and goes, I need to do with this. This is
So
good.
how does
There's
your
plenty
body
of fiber
not,
in there.
Okay, so let me answer this.
Okay.
If you're drinking orange juice, how come your body doesn't recognize that as an orange?
Because it's going straight to your liver.
Okay.
There's no breaking down of fiber. There's no, and you're getting a dose of equivalent to like eating 8 oranges immediately.
Okay,
Your body's like, what the
What's going
fuck
on?
is this? That's why soda's so bad for you.
sure.
Your body's like, what the fuck is this?
Well, I stopped eating sugar.
Totally.
I only have like fruit, but like other than that, I don't have any like cookies or cake or any of that stuff.
How do you feel?
I feel better. I mean, I lost a ton of weight.
You did. You look great.
Thanks. I
How much you lose?
From the last time I was here, probably like 45, 50 pounds, but I also was working out too.
How do your joints feel? They must feel so much lighter.
They do, but like I have a friend who's like losing weight. It doesn't matter how much you weigh. It doesn't weigh on your joints. And I'm like, that's like not true.
That doesn't make any sense.
I know, but you just kind of have to let people think that because what am I going to do? Fight with you about it? Just, okay.
She
fine.
said it doesn't make a difference in your
It doesn't
joints?
make a difference how much you weigh, like on
Is
your
it
knees.
a guy or a girl?
A girl. And I was like, okay. I'm just like, I was staying at her house too. And I was like, I'm not going to fight with you about this.
I used to notice the difference when I was fighting, when I would lose weight, when I would compete. So I used to weigh like 155 pounds, and I had to compete at 140.
and just that 15-pound weight you felt.
Oh yeah, I felt so light. I felt
It's-
so
you feel
so
a total
light on my
difference.
feet. Well, I work out with a vest. I put a weight vest on, so
Mm-hmm.
it's a 25-pound weight vest, and I do like all these body weight exercises. When I get that 25 pounds doesn't seem like much. I get that thing off me. I'm like,
Yeah. I mean, my back, everything feels better.
of course, your joints, everything. You're overstretched, but your legs are probably strong as fuck. I used to say that about Ralphie May. I'm like, bro, if you could lose weight, you could kick through a fucking building.
But I think your knees are just like, we need
Destroyed.
a break.
Right,
Yeah.
but they will get a break. They're going to get a break because you're going to lose 400
if you
pounds.
lose 400 pounds,
Yeah.
sure.
I mean, but I was looking at his legs. I'm like, the muscle you must have in your legs. You go upstairs. You know, like Ralphie was
I don't know how
performing
many
in
people
the
are
belly
going
room.
upstairs. Oh,
Ralphie
okay.
went into the belly room, so he had to go upstairs. You remember the belly room of the store?
Mm-hmm.
That's a fucking old school staircase.
But I mean, how often are you doing that?
Well, he's walking a lot because he was always walking, just walking.
Right.
Imagine if, okay, I weigh 205 pounds. If I had to put on what did Ralphie weigh in his prime, if you had to guess?
I have no idea. 500 pounds?
If I had to put on 300 pounds,
Mm-hmm.
imagine if I'm in shape. Imagine if I had to walk around the Comedy Store with a dumbbell on my
Mm-hmm.
on my back, or a barbell on my back with
Right.
300 pounds on it.
Okay. But I mean,
I
you're
could
not.
make it like 30 steps, then I have to put it down and take
Sure.
a break for like 5 minutes, and then try to pick it up again, and I'd be exhausted. This dude's just walking around all day like that.
But if you're walking around that much, you're going to lose a lot of weight
He
too.
almost lost that much weight.
That's what you lost?
Yeah. He weighed almost 800 pounds.
Yo.
And just walking up the stairs at the belly room, he lost 300 pounds.
Just one time.
One time? That's crazy. Why are we not having all the fat people walking?
Wow. He used to weigh over 800 pounds. He underwent gastric bypass surgery and lost 350 pounds, but has struggled with his weight. He blew out his gastric bypass twice.
Well, the thing is, a lot of people that get those surgeries, if you're not figuring out the reason why you're overeating like that,
Right.
it doesn't matter. You can still gain the weight back if you eat small meals all day long. I have friends that have gotten it, and you just eat small meals all day long,
Right.
and you're just still gaining
Stay-
the weight back. Yeah.
You at least maintain your weight. You can't keep as much in there at a time as like a giant plate of food, but
No, but if you eat little meals all day and
All day.
graze, you'll
Yeah.
gain the weight back. I know people that have had that surgery, and you're like, oh, you just gained a lot of your weight back.
right. So they're not eating because they're hungry. They're eating because they're crazy. There's
Well, they're
something
eating,
wrong.
right. It's like the same way people abuse anything, right? Like
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
if it's alcohol or sex or drugs, it's the same thing, right? You're trying to like numb out and fill a void. So if you don't actually address that, you're not going to just stop eating.
So someone told me this. Find out if this is true. Does Bruno Mars owe the MGM a ton of money from gambling?
I heard.
Is that true?
I've seen the story where someone just claims they were there.
Yeah, I've talked to someone who claims that it's someone who would know, who claims it's true. But isn't that crazy, if true, that even a guy like Bruno Mars, who's just super wealthy, super famous, super talented
It doesn't
singer.
mean you don't have issues, though.
Right, but the gambling one is a nutty one.
It is. Well, my dad was a
Publicly
gambler.
reported MGM, he has no debt. to
Because MGM probably made some sort of a deal.
Right.
Right.
Because doesn't he have like some sort of, he has no debt with MGM. Wink, wink. So they have a deal. So what they have some sort of he has a residency there, right?
I think so.
The word is.
Right.
I don't know if he's got a gambling problem.
My dad was a gambler, and like he made no money. It's the craziest thing to be a gambler when you have no real money.
Oh, it's a crazy one. It's a crazy addiction. It's an addiction that I first saw when I started hanging out in pool halls when I was 23. I became addicted to playing pool.
Okay.
I was playing it all the time. I blew my knee out. I needed to get knee surgery. And when I blew my knee out, I couldn't work out. So I had to wait for surgery. And so like my ACL was all fucked up. And so I just started playing pool with one of my friends, and I became addicted to playing pool. And I would go there all the time. Because as a comedian, I didn't have a job. I just would go on stage at night, and during the daytime,
Right.
I'd hang out in pool halls. And at nighttime, I'd hang out in pool halls. And I just got around these people that I'd never known anybody like that before. Just fully addicted to gambling all day long. They would go to the racetrack. They
my
would go to
God.
off-track betting.
My dad used to take me to OTB as a kid. That's brutal, and that's when they used to let you smoke.
Oh,
you just come
God.
home smelling like smoke. It's
And you're
disgusting.
hanging out in there as a kid.
Me and my sister, we would hang out with my dad in the OTB
Oh, my
for
God.
hours.
I feel like such a good dad.
Yeah, you're a way better dad. It wouldn't be bad if my dad was gambling and he was like, he was a mailman. You can't
Oh,
you can't
God.
you can't do both of those things at the same time.
Yeah. It's a crazy one. It's a really crazy. Who was it that told us that the dad was gambling so hard they lost their house? Fuck, I forgot the whole story, but it's just you don't hear a story very rarely about a gambling addict who like kills it and like they retire in Vegas and they have
No, because you keep going until you
Yeah.
eventually lose everything.
yeah, it's a dark one. Did you see Uncut Gems?
No,
You should see it. Well,
Okay.
it might be too close to home.
it doesn't
but
matter.
It's Adam Sandler, I think, his best movie ever, and it wasn't even a comedy at all. It's a drama.
Okay.
He fucking kills in it too. It's so good.
I have heard other people say that.
It's so
I gotta
good.
watch it.
But it's for me, like having known those people, and it's so filled with anxiety because it's a sports betting thing. Sports bettors are the craziest ones because there's so many different ways to bet. You can bet the spread, you can bet parlays, you can do all.
My dad, for a while, my dad was like taking money from his pension, which like, yeah. So when he died, there was like really not that much money. And my mom was forcing him to go to Gamblers Anonymous while he was also still gambling.
It's not going to help.
If you don't
You
really
gotta
want to stop,
decide,
right? If you
yeah.
don't want to stop, you're not going to stop.
I think food is the hardest one. Because food addiction, you always have to eat food, right?
Right.
All the other ones, you can kind of just
But
not
that's why I
do
stopped
them
eating
anymore.
sugar because once I start eating it, I can't stop.
Right.
So then once it's like out of your system, you don't crave it anymore.
Well, that's because your gut bacteria changes.
That makes sense.
Yeah. What is it, Candida? Is that what it is? There's a specific type of gut flora that consumes sugar. And it thrives on sugar. And with people that eat a lot of sugar, it's very prominent in their gut bacteria. And it literally changes your brain. It changes your chemistry.
I mean,
it changes your mood.
Doesn't sugar also just like a breeding ground for cancer? Like when you
Oh,
have
yeah.
cancer?
One of the things they tell you if
So
you get
stop
cancer,
sugar.
stop all sugar, get on a ketogenic diet. So get your body to eat like
Go
high
into
fats.
ketosis.
Yeah, eat a lot of macadamia nuts and things with, things you get a lot of fat from. And just your body starts burning fat, which you feel so much better when you live like that. Your brain works better.
Yeah, for sure. You're
When
just
I-
like in a brain fog.
Yeah, for sure for me. I mean, I'm Italian, so I grew up eating pasta and bread and pizza. It was like common.
Me
and
too.
when I stopped doing it, when I went like on a carnivore diet, the first thing that I thought that was really bizarre was how I wasn't hungry during the day. Like I never got this like famished starvation feeling.
Well, because isn't it like if you're eating stuff that's like high in carbohydrates like that, doesn't your blood sugar like drop really quickly and stuff?
Yeah, it spikes when you eat
Or
it. It's
spikes.
like it's insulin. Your body produces a ton of insulin, and you want your body to run on ketones. If your body runs on ketones, it's just like it works better. Or your thought. One of the things that I noticed like almost immediately was like when I came in to do podcasts, I was much better at it. my brain, like just from a performance enhancing perspective, my brain functions better. I can form sentences better.
If I was eating like a lot of sugar, you almost get like that same hungover feeling as if you drink.
Yeah.
Like I've had that where like if you binge eat sugar and then the next day you're like, oh my God, I feel so hungover.
It's similar. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's similar. Like there's something to it's not as extreme because you're probably not dehydrated too. But
Right.
yeah, your body's like, what are you doing to me, man? What
It's
are you
not
doing to me?"
good.
It's not good.
Not at all.
But it's so delicious. Like
It
cake,
is,
cake
sure.
is so fucking
It's
good while you're
amazing.
eating it.
I know. and
While
then
you're
after
eating
you-
it, you're like, God, this
That's
is
how
so
my
good.
dad felt gambling on the horses. He's like, this feels so good. And then so they would send us to Catholic school and he would like not pay like tuition, and then they would call me in to like talk to me.
Oh, no.
And I'd have to go talk to my dad. And I'm
And
like,
he was gambling the money away.
yeah, my dad was always gambling.
I think people need some excitement in their life, you know?
Sure. And it's like, why are you doing that? What are you trying to numb out? Because God knows what he was, you know what I mean? Like everyone's
Right.
kind of trying to fix their problems from their childhood, or they're not.
There's that. But I think with gambling, it's also
The
it's
thrill.
excitement.
Yes,
And
the
you get
thrill.
addicted to just having a purpose and having excitement. Your purpose is to figure out when the Knicks are going to win by 17 points.
Sure.
And if they win, you win. And then, yes, I'm alive.
It like spikes, like you're
Yeah.
just like that feeling of like winning and then that feeling of losing.
Well, that's the craziest thing about the Adam Sandler movie. There's a moment in it, spoiler alert, where he does make this big win. And so with this big win, he's going to be able to pay all these people off that are trying to kill him. And he immediately doubles down and puts it on another. And you're like, what the fuck are
Right.
you
You just,
doing?
because that's the thing. You're
Yeah.
chasing that high constantly. I had a friend who's a huge gambler and like he lost so much money. And no matter how much he gambles, if he's up $15,000, he's still chasing that $8 million loss. So it doesn't matter. He's constantly chasing that big loss. And like no matter how much he wins, he's like, yeah, but I still lost all that other money. So I'm going to keep chasing this.
My good friend Dana White is a gambling addict.
And also, if you're super rich, you just have more to lose.
Oh, yeah, he goes hard. We went to visit him at Green Valley. Was it Green? No. Red Rocks? Red Rocks. We went to visit him at Red Rocks. Jamie and I went. And when we got there, he was $600,000 down. When we got there,
That's crazy.
playing blackjack. But at the end of the night, he stayed till like 6 in the morning. He was $600,000 up. So he won that money back, and then he got him for $600,000.
That's crazy.
He's there all the time. He loves it. But he's worth like, I don't know what he's worth. Hundreds of millions of dollars. Like,
Right.
he can get away with that. But it's
Sure.
like,
Not my dad
Jesus.
who's making $40,000 a year.
But it's nutty that even a wealthy guy, you would think you're that wealthy. Why would you want to gamble? You know?
It's just the
Why would you wanna
feeling.
just
There's
see-
nothing that
Right.
replicates that feeling that you get when you're like winning or losing.
Yeah. It's a real drug.
For sure.
And it's a weird one. It's a really weird. It's like it hijacks like your human reward system that's built to solve problems and overcome adversaries and conquer and get conquered. Like it's hijacking that little part of your brain
I kind of want to gamble.
right now, right?
Right now. Let's just fucking go.
If you were a gambler, what do you think your game would be?
Whenever I do it, it's just like slots. And
Really, that's the dumbest one.
I know, because I don't really know how to play blackjack or anything. So I'm just like, I'm going to lose all my money.
Would you want to learn though?
I would like to learn, yeah. I did learn blackjack a little bit. My friend was teaching me.
I think I could learn blackjack.
Mm-hmm.
Craps. I'm like, you might as well be trying to teach me how to read.
The
Ancient
weird one to
Hebrew.
me is like someone who puts all the money on the red or black.
Oh, roulette.
Yeah.
That's a nutty one.
It is, because don't you have to get the number? How do you even bet on that? It's such a chance.
I think there's a bunch of different ways you can bet. I think you can bet red or black. You can bet specific numbers. I think there's a bunch of different ways. But if you wanted to like bet at all, red or black, I think you can. I think you can bet like $100,000 on one roll. I think it's going to come out red.
I don't know. I just imagine like the feeling you get say you put $100,000 down and then you lose and you're like, no,
Oh, it's so
that's my children's
stupid.
tuition.
Oh,
There goes our house.
But that thing addicts people. I mean, that's the argument why casinos shouldn't be everywhere. Because people would just, everywhere, they would be falling into gambling addiction.
For the most, I mean, casinos, like there's one in Yonkers in New York. It's so depressing. It's just all old people that are there on disability just sitting there and they're doing that thing.
The slots.
The slots,
just
and you're
having something
smoking.
exciting.
I know.
Just waiting to
It's
die.
very sad. You're waiting to die.
Yeah. It's a dark thing that you just sit these people in front of those things and just they press buttons. And all the lights are going on, so the little brain is getting activity. Ding, 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 ding.
My mother told me that my grandmother was like a big gambler, and she also didn't have money. It's crazy to me when people who are poor are gambling. And she would lose the money all the time, like the rent money. My grandfather used to hit her.
Oh, God.
I know, and I was like, I guess he didn't hit her hard enough to learn because she kept doing it.
It didn't work.
She just kept doing it.
My grandmother used to run the numbers for the mob.
Interesting.
Yeah, she actually went to jail. She went to jail for like 6 months.
You really are Italian. I didn't even know you're Italian.
Yeah. Yeah, my grandmother, she was addicted to the numbers, and she would always talk about the numbers. Like, I was going to bet this, that, and that, but this one came through, and I changed my mind. She was always like, change her mind
That's
at the
got to be
last
the
minute.
whole time where you're just like, should I do this number? Should I do that number?
It was most conversations I had with her were about either ghosts, psychics, or the numbers.
Do psychics work? Because wouldn't you think they could predict the numbers?
Yeah. I think psychic phenomenon is an emerging property of human consciousness that's not quite there yet. I think that language didn't develop overnight. I think eyesight didn't develop overnight. And I think psychic connection between human beings is it's a real thing that nobody... I think some people are better at it. They have more of a gene for it, or more of a... It could be like a biochemistry thing. It could be a psychology thing. There's something that you connect to sometimes where you know something,
Right.
but you don't know why you know it. There's when you know someone's going to call, and then they call you, thinking about someone and they call you. I think that's real. I think it's just not... You can't put it on a scale. I think the problem is it's too ethereal. It's like too ephemeral, rather. It's not quite there yet. But I think it's an emerging thing that's happening.
Would you want to know the day you're going to die if you could find out?
No.
Would you want to know how you're going to die?
No. I'm interested in while I'm alive, just living.
I would like to know the day.
I wouldn't want to know. I don't want to know.
Because then I would just take a lot more chances.
You'd be freaking out the last few days.
Sure, but like I would probably do a lot of stuff now if I knew I was going to die at like 70 or 80.
Well, you
Do you
probably are going to die at 70 or 80. So
yeah, but you don't know for sure. You don't know for sure.
Technology could come along and extend that
because then I would
quite a
try
bit.
and see if I could die before. Just like run across the highway.
Really? Like, just beat the system?
See if I could beat the system.
Well, you can always jump off a bridge. Imagine that.
George Washington Bridge. If I was going to do it, that's the best.
one?
That's the bridge to go off of.
Do people do that?
I'm sure they do. But you got to do it when it screws enough people, like Labor Day weekend or something. Just hold that traffic up.
I had a friend who jumped off the Golden Gate.
I guess he died.
He did.
Do you ever see that documentary about the
Yeah.
people that
No,
live?
I haven't seen it, but I've heard of it. I know about it. Yeah.
It was interesting because some of the people that lived are like, as soon as you jump, you regret it.
Yeah, of course. It's like your body's like freaking out. It's like, oh
Of
my
cour-
God.
yeah.
You have 3 seconds to think about life before you plummet 75 miles an hour into the ocean,
They always stop traffic too on the bridge.
which is weird.
Right, because you're like,
So
they're
he's
already
gonna
dead.
pop out of the water and land
Just
in
go
middle
on
of
the
road.
ground and look for them. What are we doing
Yeah.
up here?
Yeah,
why can't I go over
Why
the
are you
bridge?
stopping traffic on the bridge? I guess it's to make sure that nobody pushed him. Look for evidence of like
Right.
fingernails clawing at the poles.
Sure, but like
You know?
the highway is fine though.
I agree.
Just like look on the edges.
I think whenever they get a chance to shut things down, they like it.
One time I got hit by a car, a drunk driver, and they shut the highway down. All the cars are there, and you kind of just are like,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
This is all from me.
We did
Yeah.
this.
Fuck you. It's
You
kind of
guys-
weird.
You guys aren't picking your kids up.
Yeah. Sorry.
Because this drunk driver decided to hit me.
Oh, guess you're gonna shit your pants. Sorry, not gonna make it home in time.
That's true.
Fuck yeah, it's true.
I had a drunk driver hit my car and then asked me if I would help them push their car off the highway.
Oh, that's adorable.
Yeah, he was
How
so
drunk
wrecked.
was he?
I don't know. He went away in handcuffs, but like he had an Audi and it wasn't even his car.
Oh Jesus.
He was undocumented.
Oh
I'm
Jesus.
like, I don't even know if did he have a license? I don't know, but he was it was crazy the whole situation. He was like, "Hey, can you push me off the highway?" I was like, "Probably not."
God damn, dude. That's how people die too. A buddy of mine from high school died that way. He was changing his tire side of a highway.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It's so dangerous. People don't fucking pay attention.
They don't, especially if it's late at night.
Well, especially now. This was many years ago before cell phones when this kid died. But this, like now, the odds of, like, when I see people on motorcycles, I'm like, God damn, that's so risky.
It's very risky.
So few people are paying attention. I see people texting all
Everyone
the time.
is texting all the time. I would rather drive with drunk drivers than people texting and driving. Because they're always all over the road.
All over the road. And not only that, the amount of space you cover. Well, you look down at your phone for like a couple of seconds and type in a word. The amount of space you cover if you're going 60 miles an hour is really crazy.
Of course. And then you're also not paying attention to the other people who are texting and driving.
Exactly.
It really is just like
chaos.
Well, maybe I'll get home, maybe I won't.
Why don't we all have bumper cars? Let me ask you that.
I think
wouldn't it be better if everybody had a big rubber thing all around the outside of the car so we could just kind of bounce off of each other?
Probably. That would be a good idea. But then you also need people to die because like we're just too overpopulated.
That's where fentanyl comes in.
Fentanyl, exactly. Give everyone fentanyl.
Like if you were going to fix the homeless problem and you weren't going to use fentanyl, what would you do?
I'm giving them fentanyl because it's like a nice way to go out.
Right.
It's quick.
It is quick.
And you're so happy, and then you're dead.
They have Narcan everywhere, though. They just bring people back to life. But the thing is, it's like...
I never see Narcan anywhere.
If you weren't going to... Like, if you... Like, for real. If you were trying... If you were just objective, you weren't looking at this in terms of, like, what's the kind thing to do, and you wanted to clean up the homeless situation.
Well, you have to spend a lot of money on mental health.
Right.
You know, you have to, like, care about the veterans. I have a whole joke about this on my special about how, like, we don't really care about veterans. And I've dated a lot of veterans that like come back and they're so screwed up.
Yeah.
And we're not like actually helping them.
No.
And a lot of them end up on the street and they're crazy. But they need like a lot of, you know, like mental health and you have to like kind of figure out how to go back into society.
Oh, yeah.
Like I've dated several veterans and like they're crazy, understandably, you know?
Understandably.
You can't go to war for like 8 years and then come back and work at Target. Like it's just not a way that happens.
Right. Yeah.
So you would have to be willing to like help veterans. You'd have to spend money on mental health, and you have to. But this is the problem: is like doing those things doesn't really yield a lot of money, so people don't want to waste their money into it.
That's what's fucked up.
Right.
They do whatever they can get away with, and if they get away with like using the veterans and not paying for them to be better, they just do.
Also, everyone's like, well, they can go to a VA hospital. It's like I've seen how hard it is to get services from there, and that's a person that's not really crazy and messed up from war.
Right.
So it's like you're making it so hard for these people that go and serve the country.
I know. I talked to J.D. Vance about this. Talked to him about psychedelics.
And what did he say?
Well, he wasn't aware of it, honestly. And so he was interested in it. And hopefully, now that he's actually the vice president, I could connect him with some people that could perhaps show him some things and explain to him all the different ways that they've figured out, especially in other countries like in Mexico, to help veterans. Ibogaine's a big one. Ibogaine, psilocybin, ayahuasca, all these different psychedelics have shown to have remarkable effects.
Even for depression, I think people take it. They microdose.
Yep. Well, not just microdose. Like the Ibogaine one is, I've never done that, but for what I understand, it's like almost like a 24-hour, you want some water? It's like a 24-hour experience.
Thank you.
That shows you like a movie of your life.
I don't want to see that.
If it shows you, well, it shows you apparently, and this is just me hearing what other people have told me, but it explains to you why you have these problems and shows to you what developed, where the issue started, and by seeing that, you could figure it out. You go, oh, okay. Well, I won't do that anymore. Now I get it. Now I get what this hole I've been trying to fill is. I don't need to fill the hole anymore. And so,
but that's the thing. Like, I feel like I know what was like probably wrong in my childhood. I know that, but it doesn't like fix me.
Right. It's different. It's not just knowing it. It's like seeing it at almost like a subatomic level.
Okay.
Like seeing the process, seeing what's going on inside of you and recognize that this is a very bad path to follow. Not just knowing it and still doing it, not just like not being able to get out of a habit, not being able to get out of a pattern of behavior, but to see like the source of it, the path, where it takes you and the right way to go. And to see it laid out. Where you go, oh, I could just do this and just like let that go and move on and be a better person, be a healthier person, be happier.
Yeah.
And so many people that I know have done that. They've stopped drinking, stopped opiates. You know, opioids is a big one. It's a big one that it helps. Ibogaine does. And Ibogaine is like completely non-addictive. Apparently it's a terrible experience and nobody wants to do it again.
Ibogaine?
Yeah, you do
What
it.
is it?
It's from the iboga tree, which is an African tree that it's a very bizarre. I don't know what category of psychedelic it's in, but it's not technically. It's not like psilocybin. It's not, which is mushrooms. It's not like dimethyltryptamine, which is ayahuasca. It's something completely different, some different pathway, but particularly effective. Again, I've never tried it, but everybody I've talked to that has, particularly effective in curing addictions.
Interesting. I've
Yeah.
never heard of that.
Yeah, I know quite a few guys. My friend Ed Clay, he actually opened up a place in Mexico because he hurt his back. He's a jiu-jitsu guy. A lot of jiu-jitsu guys fuck their backs up. Like my
And then they
back's
probably
all
get hooked
fucked
on
up.
like
And then you
opiates
go
and
to
shit.
you get an operation or you get a pill. You know, you need some pain pills because you literally can't tie your shoes because your
Sure.
fucking back is flared up. And then next thing you know, you're hooked. And thanks to the Sackler family, those sweeties.
They made so much money though.
Those fucking monsters. We were just talking the other day about they started the Valium thing too. They were responsible for the Valium thing in the 1970s. Same family. It's a family of demons.
Sure.
Just fucking monsters. And no one's in jail.
I watched a documentary. I guess it was about the Sackler family. With
Was it the
like,
Netflix one?
I don't know. There was a couple. There was one on I think Hulu, and and then there was one also on Netflix.
Yeah, there was Dope Sick. And
I
then
watched Dope Sick. That
what was the
very
Netflix one called, Jamie? Painkiller? Is that what it's called? That's the Peter Berg one. Peter Berg came in and explained it all to us and talked about the documentary. It's fucking great. It's so good because it's like they're such demons. And just to know that people like that exist and walk amongst us. That's it.
Well,
Painkiller.
listen. Speaking of Netflix,
Matthew
go watch,
Broderick fucking kills it in that too.
go watch my Netflix special.
Yes.
The Dark
Adrienne,
Queen.
The Netflix special. Tell her, where'd you film it?
We filmed it at the Cellar.
Oh, nice. Nice. That must be good for you, right? Comfortable.
Yeah, just because I'm used to it. But I
Right.
got to tell you, like, your club is amazing. I love it.
Thank you.
I would definitely
we
film
love you
something.
too.
Yeah, I would definitely film my next one there.
Everyone's been trying to get you to move here.
I'm going to be moving here.
Oh, shit.
I'm going to come here probably like a little bit in December. And then I'm going to LA to promote The Dark Queen. And then I'll be here in January.
Oh, shit.
I know.
Nice.
And I'll be seeing Marshall all the time.
So the last time I talked to you about this was in the bar at Mitzi's. You, me, and Bridget.
That's right.
Do we
Ari's
help?
been like,
Do we push you over the top?
well, Ari was like, said the meanest thing to me.
Want to see the text that Ari sent me?
Sure, yeah.
He sent me a text like Adrienne's coming to Austin. Convince her to move there.
He's telling everyone that. He's like, he goes, well, fine, just be a feature the rest of your life. I was like, all right, Ari, I get it.
I'll find it. Oh, fuck, there's too many. There's too many goddamn.
But
Too
Ari's
many messages.
excited for the special. He's like, I think everyone's going to be really upset. I was like, I hope so. Listen, I want people to like it, but I also know that like it's trigger topics that people are going to be upset by.
Of course, but that's your specialty.
I know. It's weird.
You like
too.
doing that.
But that's the thing. I think people think I'm trying to like be dark. It's just kind of who I am.
Well, you joke around like that off stage as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, and I think nothing of saying it.
Well, if you were raised by a guy who took you to a smoke-filled off-track betting when you were a little girl, when little girls want to go to the park
Sure.
and hang with their friends, and instead you're around a bunch of fucking gamblers and degenerates.
I mean, yeah, my uncle
the
was
kinda humor.
my uncle was a Hell's Angel. Like, it's just everyone's crazy in my family.
Yeah.
So it's like,
the way you make fun.
yeah, and I had a friend in grammar school that killed himself, and we all went to the funeral and then went out after, and all of our sense of humor is so dark. And you're like, oh, that's also where I got it,
Where was this?
in the Bronx.
The Bronx, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the Bronx that's a high sense of humor type of place because there's just so much fucked up things going on.
Right, and everyone's like kind of
Yeah.
poor.
Yeah, and they have the darkest senses of humor because they've experienced the most.
My mom also has a dark sense of humor.
Really?
Yeah. So like it's just that's kind of passed down, I think.
Well, I think your mom probably experienced a lot of fucked up things too, obviously, and she was married to your dad, so that helps.
She's
But,
married
like,
to my dad.
Cops have the most fucked up sense of humor. Joke around with cops. Once they get comfortable with you,
Oh yeah,
they see the worst shit all day long.
of course.
Yeah, they have the most fucked up senses of humor.
So do firemen.
100%. Yep.
Anyone that has like a high PTSD,
EMTs.
anyone that has a high what is it, PTSD.
Yeah.
And I date a lot of guys with PTSD.
That's your thing?
And then I just give them more. It's a cycle of PTSD where all should be hospitalized and institutionalized.
Do you meet guys after shows? Like, how do you meet them? Like, they kind of have to know what you do before they see you. Otherwise, they're going to go, oh, Jesus Christ.
I mean, I've had people like that. I think the tour preparing for the special was hard because it was just people coming out that didn't know my sense of humor. And if you don't know that and you're taking a chance on me,
Right.
I'm not like that person to take a chance on.
Right.
Or I think sometimes they're like supporting a woman and I'm like, I'm not the right woman to take a chance on and support.
That's okay.
You're just not going to be happy.
He'd be so mad at you.
I've had people walk out. I did that military joke in Texas
Yeah.
and like 20 cowboys just walked out. And I wasn't even saying anything bad about the military. I'm like, we just don't care. We don't care about
Right.
them.
Some people are just dumb and they see it as this is my chance to make a protest. Let me just get up right now.
But they hung in so long through the show where it was like,
That one was it.
yeah, it was probably 50
Veterans.
minutes in.
Did you crack jokes about Jesus at all?
Sure.
And they were fine with that? Maybe they were on
They
the edge.
didn't walk.
Maybe Jesus put them to the edge of their sheet. And
It's
then
it's
veterans-
interesting because both sides have woke things they're upset about.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I walk people about Ukraine, the Middle East. I was doing jokes about the Middle East, and this lady was like, "Next,"
Yeah.
and you're like,
Yeah.
"No."
I used to have this joke about the Second Coming Project. Mm-hmm. Do you know what the Second Coming Project was?
No.
It was a thing that they were trying to do. Remember when Dolly the sheep, when they first cloned Dolly the sheep?
Yes.
Well, the idea was that they would take genetic material from the Shroud of Turin and they would clone Jesus.
Great, do
And
it.
my joke was, well, the cloning is not an exact science. Like, if you want to do it now, like, they had to do like 20 dollies before they got one dolly. Like, before it was
Right.
real. A lot of them come out all fucked up. Like, what happens if you clone Jesus and he comes back with Down syndrome? And so the whole joke
kill
is
him
about
anyway. You have to kill
following
Jesus.
Jesus around, and he's wearing a hockey helmet and turning dog shit into cookies.
So did
But
they
this
actually do
lady-
it?
No, they never did.
Oh,
it.
okay.
It's kind of a bullshit thing. But this lady goes, next subject. And I just kept going on with it. I was like, no.
Religious people are so weird to me.
It's not even a religious thing. It's just some people they don't want to hear wild things. They don't want to hear things you're
Right.
not supposed to say. They don't hear them all day at work. And they
That's
come out at a
fine.
comedy club and they want to sort of apply their
That's
sensibility.
fine. But like, if you're willing to believe a wild story like that, how about believe this other wild thing could happen too?
Well, the thing is, it wasn't totally a wild story. I think it was people that were ignorant as to the science that were proposing it because they thought this would be the pathway to bring Jesus back.
What is Jesus going to be doing anyway?
Well, who knows? I mean, depending upon what that means.
Right.
If that is the pathway, let's just imagine. Okay, everybody is thinking, if you're really religious, you believe that one day we'll have the rapture and Jesus will return.
Okay.
So if God created us in his image and God instilled in us an insane sense of curiosity that has led people to create things like genetic engineering and cloning, and then we have an understanding of genetic material, not where we are now, but maybe in a future sense, where you could literally get a cotton swab from a person and reproduce them.
Sure.
Like that's all they need. Or cotton swab's all they need for 23andMe, right? You get a little swab in your mouth and they sell your data to China, and then but that
I would never do that.
I did it. I just wanted to know what was going on. It was all things I knew.
What did you find out?
Mostly Italian, some Irish, 1% Asian, 1.6% African.
You're 1% Asian?
1% Asian, 1.6% African. Yeah. I think the Asian's probably like Genghis Khan shit. I think Genghis Khan just fucked so many people. It's just gotten to so many people, so many different places.
Crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah. That guy fucked everybody. He had, we've talked about it before, but I always forget the number. But there's a certain percentage of people on Earth that have his DNA, and it's astounding. It's an astounding number.
Pretty cool.
Well, he also killed 10% of the population while he was alive.
Yeah, and that's why he was like repopulating them.
Well, took a lot of slaves, sex slaves. They called them wives back in those days. It was different. But when they would conquer people, he'd just take their wives, take everybody's wife. And,
I mean, it
and
sounds
fuck
like the
'em.
thing you should do.
That was his move.
It's not bad.
It's interesting that all these years later, and he's not thought of as a monster. He's thought of as like a historic figure.
Yeah. I mean,
He's like Hitler times 100. Like,
Sure.
he was fucking insane. Like, They used to light bodies on fire and then use them as catapults. They would launch them onto roofs to burn the roofs down. That's how they would scare people. Just take victims.
A crazy way of like doing that.
They did so many insane things. One of the things they did was when they would capture a city, they would take the generals and all the different people, and they would create a platform and lay all these people out, and then stack the platform on top of them. Then they would all climb on top of the platform and eat. So they would eat lunch while they were crushing these people to death slowly.
That's crazy. Were the people dead already?
No. They killed them that way. Yeah, I think that's how he killed royals. I think that was his move for killing royal people. Like instead of just slaughtering them outright and hacking them, they would just kind of crush them. They had a bunch of different ways that they would kill people. They would take, when they would capture people, they would use those people at the front of the line and push them towards their own army. So they would sack a city, capture 100,000 people, take those 100,000 people and put them at the front of the line and press them to go further into the city. And those people would just get slaughtered in front of them, and they would eventually kill everybody there.
That's crazy.
It was so crazy that there's a guy named Dan Carlin. He's got an amazing show called Hardcore History. And he's got this one episode called The Wrath of the Khan. It's 5 episodes, but there's one series, and it's all about Genghis Khan. And one of the stories is about the Shah of Khorizma. This Shah is making a trek to Jin, China, to see what's going on over there. Like, what do you guys got? Talk to the king and see what's happening in your whoever the fuck's running your city. And as they're going there, the roads were so fucked up with decayed bodies that they had to abandon the roads because all their wagons were getting stuck in the mud of decaying people. Oh. And they looked in the distance, they thought it was a snow-covered mountain that they were looking at way in the distance. It turned out it was a pile of bodies. They'd killed 1 million people and just stacked them on top of each other in the middle of the town. They killed the entire city. They killed everyone.
That's crazy, and there's no one to clean up the bodies.
They just left the bodies. They didn't give a fuck. They just kept moving.
It's wild.
Imagine living back then.
Yeah, I know. Your wheelbarrow is getting stuck in someone's head.
I know. Yeah. If people were taking gender studies in class today, back then,
oh my God.
they were fucking just running for their lives.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I guess that we get to do stuff that's sometimes so dumb, and people are just fighting to stay alive.
Well, it's also interesting that over time that becomes less and less acceptable. Like the horrors of Gaza, when we find out about it today, everyone's outraged. Back then, it wouldn't be the same type of horrors, obviously, because they didn't have missiles. But horrors are just horrors. It's just
yeah. You're just killing people.
Yeah. It's way grosser today.
Well, it's because we also have photos and everything of it, right? From
back then, they saw it in real life, which was way worse.
But you had to be there to see it, right?
But if you were alive in 1200, let's imagine you and I were alive in 1200. How many people do you think we would have seen get slaughtered with swords and arrows and shit in front of us by now?
Probably a ton. You become desensitized to it.
It becomes a thing.
Like when I first started watching The Walking, what is it?
Yeah, Walking Dead.
Walking Dead. You're like, I can't believe they just did that. And then 2 episodes in, you're like, oh, this is normal to me.
Yeah.
And it's got to be kind of what it been like back then. You watch someone's head get blown off, and now you're like, oh, yeah, that's just like a Tuesday.
Yeah. People get real accustomed to things. And if you're real accustomed to barbaric living and slaughtering people and lighting them on fire and launching them in catapults onto the thatched roofs of these houses and watch them burn.
Right. You can't imagine not doing that if that's all you say.
That's what you do.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
That's just what we do.
Yeah. They didn't wash. They wore their clothes until they rotted off of their skin.
Yeah, I mean, I think if they're catapulting dead bodies, it's who cares what you're wearing?
Sometimes they just lived off the blood of their horses. They would just drink the horse's blood. And that's what they sustain themselves with.
But then you just need your horse to travel.
Yeah, horse keeps eating. You don't kill them. You just cut a little nick in their neck.
And you just suck a horse's blood?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what they would do. They would take it and put it in a jug.
You really
and drink
could
it.
survive. If you were just somewhere by yourself.
Yeah, you could.
I don't think I could, but I think you could survive.
I would need stuff. See, the
you
thing
would need
about
a horse.
You need stuff. You need physical things, like you need shelter and knives, and you need something you start a fire with, and you need something that you can hunt with.
Sure, but if I had that same stuff, I would be dead, and you would thrive.
I wouldn't thrive
You would survive.
for a little while.
I didn't know you could drink horse's blood.
Yeah, but you got to keep that horse alive, and then the horse is going to die.
The horse is eating dead people.
It's dead. The horses don't eat meat.
They don't?
No. They do occasionally eat birds.
What if they're starving? They won't eat like a person?
No, they're not even interested in rotting bodies. They're herbivores.
Wow.
But they do occasionally eat
I'm learning
birds.
so much.
There's this really fucked up video of this horse following this bird, or it's a cow following this bird around. I've seen horses do it too, where they found like a ground nesting bird and they just eat it. And the mother bird's like flying at them, pecking at them, like, shut the fuck up, I'm eating your baby.
At least she tried.
Deer do it all the time. Deer do it. It's so bad. Like they had this net that they use to catch birds.
Okay.
And the deer found the birds in the net. And so the deer would just go up to the net and feast like a grapevine.
Right, like a buffet.
Eat all these birds. And that's when we started understanding that if a deer catches a bird slipping, they just eat them.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
Because they eat plants. It's like,
Yeah, but
we
like a
don't,
bird is kind of like caviar to them, probably.
probably.
They're like, delish.
Yes. A little foie gras.
Don't mind if I do.
Yeah. Have you ever seen cows eat birds?
No.
Find a video of
I've only seen cows
eating birds.
eat grass.
Yeah, they eat birds. It disturbs the shit out of people who are like peaceful. They're like, I think the less suffering we have, the better. Like,
But also a
cows don't
bird
give a
can
fuck.
fly away. It's kind of their fault.
Well, not babies.
Survival of the fittest. You're dead.
is.
You're now dead.
It's probably nature's way of keeping
Why wouldn't you put
baby
your
birds
birds
from overwhelming
higher?
us.
Why wouldn't you put your bird nest higher? It's on the mom.
Look at this. Look at this cow. Find
Oh
that
yeah,
little
he's
chickie.
going right into his mouth.
Yep.
Yep.
Chomp, chomp, chomp. Oh,
You're dead.
yum, yum, yum.
You're
Isn't it
dead.
so weird that they decide that they want to eat that? Just weird. It's weird that they just decide. Look at that
Right.
little
Why
kid.
wouldn't you just eat the kid?
Yeah,
if you're gonna eat that bird?
Kid comes with people. People have guns. They figure
They
it out
don't
after
know.
a while.
You think so? They
Yeah.
know the guns are coming.
They know that people can kill them. I definitely think they know that people are in control. I don't think they feel a sense of power. Where
Also,
they can
you
attack
can't
a
eat
kid.
that kid in one gulp.
Right. People are gonna know.
Right.
Right.
If you could just eat it in one gulp.
Yeah.
then
If
it's
you
like,
just
who knows
swallow
what happened to the
but
kid?
I don't know what happened to the kid. She
I'll
says
help-
I didn't eat nothing.
I'll help you look.
Yeah.
Let's all look. You have a shoe in your mouth.
I'll help you look. Well, that was a legitimate concern for people hundreds of years ago. Your kid would get eaten.
Sure.
If it was out in the yard, wolves. I mean, that's like the big bad wolf. That's what all that shit was. Little Red Riding
Imagine like
Hood?
your kid survives cholera and then it just gets eaten.
Ugh. Ugh.
I can't believe that.
Right, like that's not even that long ago that people were dying of cholera.
How many years do you think that was?
Who knows? I mean, how many different fucking diseases killed people just because of poor sanitation? That's what a lot of that stuff came from.
Sure.
A lot of that stuff came from poor sanitation. I mean, just think about how many people were just dying in these cities because of the plague, because they'd throw their shit out the windows.
I
and there'd be
mean,
rats and bugs. And
yeah. I think I would learn pretty quickly if I threw my shit out the window once that like that's not great.
I think you would think that, but there's people in India that shit in the street to this day. It's
I
like,
mean, I watched a video where there's like a parade and they're just throwing shit. Like that's part of the parade.
that doesn't. Is that in India?
Yes.
Cow
You could-
dung festival or something.
Yes.
Oh,
It's
cow shit's like a different kind of shit. It's
It's
gross, but
still
it's not like
shit.
human shit. Human shit is
I'm
the
sure you don't think
nastiest shit.
anyone's mixing human shit in at this dung festival.
Yeah, I bet they're not.
I bet they're
they
like,
are.
hey,
Yeah.
let's spice it up.
Yeah, I bet it's not pure
not
dog.
as clean as you think, maybe.
Oh, Jesus Christ, just throwing at each other. Imagine like this is what you sign up for and they're all smiling.
I don't get the appeal.
I don't know. Maybe maybe how like, you if you eat a lot of sugar, you get that candida, and maybe if you play with shit enough, you get that shit bacteria.
I mean, their
You get
teeth look so
excited.
white because they're covered in shit.
They're just covered in shit. Guys,
And
shower up. This is ridiculous. We had to deal with the infections from the cow
how
dung.
are they
What?
not? What is going on here?
We won't get any infections from the cow dung, he says. Wait, what does he say? What was his
because
statement?
of the coronavirus and other viruses.
But back it up before
That's
that. Okay, here. Heaps of cow dung are brought in one place. We all play in it. We have had to deal with the coronavirus and other viruses. so we believe we won't get any infections from the cow dung. Okay.
I mean, you see
smart.
this, and then you're like, you know what? It's not that bad that we're doing unboxing videos.
I mean, these guys are basically content creators.
They are content creators, but they don't know that. They don't know that
Right.
we're watching these videos. I mean, can you imagine just being in there and just throwing shit at someone?
How do they not know now, though? It
I
seems
don't
like
know.
in this day and age.
I don't think that's an old video either.
Do you see when like they give Amazon tribes Starlink and they give them phones?
You said Amazon. I just thought of Amazon, like that I order stuff from.
Oh yeah. No, the other one.
I just want regular Amazon that brings. I order stuff from Amazon that's like a $3 thing, and somebody's driving to my house and dropping off like whatever it is, floss.
They figured it out. I never buy toothbrushes from the fucking store. I
know.
Click a link. Bam.
But it's like so. I'm spending such little money for stuff that someone's driving to my house to drop it off.
Eventually, it's just going to be drones.
I mean,
Just gonna
drop it off at your head.
drop it off at your house. And then there's people those are some of the grossest people. People that steal people's packages.
Especially during the holidays.
You
People are
don't
stealing.
even know what's in there.
But that's the fun you get, and you're like, this could be a TV, this could be an iPhone. It could also just be toothbrushes.
There's so many funny videos of people getting busted. You know,
I've seen them. Yeah, people are
God,
just stealing videos for like Christmas.
if you live in a neighborhood where someone steals your packages, that's such a shitty feeling. There's fucking people in your neighborhood that are clocking what's getting dropped off at your house.
Yeah, I mean,
Chris Rock used to have a bit about putting if you bought a new TV, like you had to be careful putting the box out on the street in the garbage because people would know you have
they
a new
know
TV.
you have a new TV. Yeah,
And they want to break in your house and steal your TV.
I mean now TVs are like worth nothing.
They're worth nothing. TVs, I remember in 1994 when I first moved here, I got a big TV for the first time. It was fucking big. It was like this big.
1994 was a great year.
It was like 24 inches. But it was like, you had to pick it up. Like it was a giant ass TV. Like it had a whole back to it.
Yeah, it was humongous.
And then it was one of those years, like 94, 95, they came out with a plasma TV. And it was $20,000. And it was like 40 inches and flat. And because it was flat, it looked like shit. It didn't even look good. Because it was 40 inches and flat, it was like $20,000. I remember thinking, that is the dumbest thing. Like, I'm paying $20,000 for this space behind the TV.
Yeah.
Like, I don't
Who cares
give a
about the
fuck
space
if
behind
there's
the
space
TV?
behind the TV.
Yeah.
There's like 6 feet between the TV and the wall. What do I give a fuck?
I know,
If there's an
TVs.
extra 12 inches of TV behind it, what are you, stupid? You're going to pay $20,000 because it's flat?
I guess people want to hang it on the wall.
It was a thing to let people know you had
had
it.
money.
Yeah. You had a plasma TV.
Right.
See if you can find a plasma TV from 1995-ish. They looked like shit. I think it must have been 96 because that was when I first bought a house. So they looked like shit. And they were $20,000. I was like, this is crazy.
They were so heavy, those big TVs.
Oh, giant. Might not have been 20 grand. I might be exaggerating. But it had to be like 8 or 9. And this was like, again, 95-ish. How much did they cost back then?
I remember that TV right there, the silver one, where it like comes with its own stand, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
one.
where you go over to the person's house. That person has the Super Bowl party.
Yeah,
They
you had to
that
have
TV.
friends help you carry that in. So it was Fujitsu in 95. Fujitsu introduced the first 42-inch, and it was how much money?
I figured it would say right here.
Price. No, I had it right there. Right there. Sample price for the 42-inch Jeep was 1 million yen, but Fujitsu aimed to sell it for about 500,000 yen per unit. What is that in dollars? What's 1 million yen in dollars?
Looks like 15,000.
6,000. So $6,500.
That's still a lot of money.
Still a lot of money. So it wasn't 20 grand. I exaggerated.
But that's a lot of money. Still.
But it was just the regular TV was like 100. like what? How much is a regular TV? It wasn't that much
crazy.
money. But if you had that, you were the man. Like, oh, Bobby must be doing really well in Hollywood. Look at this. He
Look
has,
at
like,
that
flat screen
TV.
television. Oh, 10 grand. By the year 2000, prices had dropped to 10 grand. Oh, prices had dropped to 10 grand.
Yes,
So maybe it was
So what'd they start at?
20,000.
I don't know.
Interesting. See if it says up there. Oh,
15,000.
15,000. Okay, one of the first flat plasma TVs. I think it was a Philips that I saw. It was available at 4 Sears locations in the U.S. for
my God.
$15,000.
Is there Sears anymore?
I don't know. I haven't seen a Sears forever.
I remember when I was like a
Sears?
kid, I got like a Sears credit card and I just bought like my ex-boyfriend at the time like rims for his car. Like that's what you just spend your money on.
Sears is almost like the Bernstein Bears effect. Like the fact that you said Sears, I was like, oh, that's a thing? Like I
don't
forgot
think
about
it is
Sears.
anymore.
But how could that not be a thing? Like Sears was huge.
They still have a website.
Really?
But I don't think
Do they have any
Texas.
There's no locations though?
I mean, it's giving me a store locator, but it's not showing me a map.
But that's a weird one, like Sears. Like that had left my memory until this. And then you saying it, like even though I said Sears available at Sears.
It didn't hit your head.
Then you started going Sears. I remember Sears. And then I was like, oh, I remember Sears too.
Do you remember Nobody Beats the Whiz? Do you remember that store?
Yes. Do you remember Crazy Eddie's?
Yes.
Crazy Eddie was actually crazy.
Yeah.
Turns out.
There's 9 left.
Oh, wow.
1 in Puerto Rico, 8 in mainland.
Interesting. We should take a road trip just to go to a Sears.
We should go to the one in Puerto Rico.
We should bring Tony.
Let's bring Tony. That'd be amazing. First of all, Puerto Ricans were not upset by that. I mean, I'm sure some were, but like my friends were like, I'm still voting for Trump. They didn't
Puerto
care.
Ricans can take a joke.
Yes.
They're some of the best shit talkers on earth.
Absolutely.
It's common in Puerto Rican communities, just have fun and joke.
Absolutely.
It's not a super sensitive neighborhood. It's a super sensitive ethnic group.
No, but most people didn't care. They're like, I don't care.
It was a stupid thing to do it there, but it turned him into a legend. As long as Trump won. If Trump didn't win, we were going to have to hide him.
For real.
Yeah, I was going to hide him. I was going to move him to Thailand or something.
To Thailand?
Yeah, he's got to get out of the United States for a while.
For how long, though?
A while, depending on how bad sideways things go. If Kamala Harris becomes president, the deep state take over and they completely censor all social media, remove everybody's guns, force vaccinations on all your babies, everybody gets a sex change. Who knows?
He's just in Thailand.
And he's in Thailand.
With ladyboys.
Just drinking his life away because he can't believe he fucked it up for one shitty laugh.
He could go live in Puerto Rico.
You know, there were stories that were ready to be published if Trump lost, blaming it on Tony.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Blaming it on that one joke in Madison Square Garden, where the facts is, and Tony will tell you, actually, Puerto Ricans voted 26% more for Trump, which is true.
They probably did.
Than ever before. Yeah. Well, people were fucking fed up. People were fed up.
I didn't even vote.
None of this makes any sense.
I mean, I think, honestly, most people right now, their main concern is like they can't even afford groceries.
Exactly.
So they're like, whoever I think is going to help me with that. Well, listen, I don't know what is true or not true, but like people who are like, I can't afford to feed my kids.
It is so crazy. I was watching this guy on MSNBC, and he was dismissing that in terms of like when people think a certain way, like people have like a particular, if they're a leftist or if they're a fundamentalist Christian, they have one thing in common, and that thing that they have in common is they want everyone to think like them.
Sure.
And this guy was saying that about like young people listening to podcasts and they're getting, air quotes, radicalized, and that we need something that can do this from a feminist perspective and teach young men feminism. The whole thing was so strange, but one of the things that he said that was the most strange, he said instead of like these minor grievances like the price of eggs or someone is teaching you your kid something in history that you don't agree with, instead of those minor things, like what's major then, man? Food for kids,
also like
food for your
history
family.
History is just history.
And history, well, you know, he said something you don't agree with. Like what? I don't know what that means. But education is primary. It's one of the most important things for kids. You got to, for their view of the world, they have to be correctly informed. It really helps if you have a good education.
Sure.
And then if you have food, if you can afford eggs, that really fucking helps. And so this idea that these are minor issues and the important issue is connecting men to feminism.
Listen, you can do that if you want, but like most people right now are like, I can't afford to pay for groceries for my kids. I don't even have kids, but like people are like, I can't afford to buy groceries.
Of course.
People who are making more money now are like, I can't save any money.
Yes. Everything's more expensive. People are fucking out of touch. I'm clearly out of touch. Clearly. But I remember when I was poor. I understand it. I really do. And I know what the fuck is going on. And I know people are saying, hey, This isn't a minor deal. This is like one of the biggest deals. You guys fucked up the economy, and you're gaslighting everybody and telling everybody you didn't. You guys have spent billions of dollars on a war that nobody agrees with, hundreds of billions, and you're gaslighting us.
Yeah, I just also like these teachers that are just like spending all their own money for supplies. It's like, what are you doing?
Crazy.
Why do teachers not have
Crazy.
supplies for kids?
Right.
And
How
you're
do
right. They are the future generation. So if they don't have food and they're not like being instructed in, learning stuff, and you have these schools where there's so many kids to one teacher.
The United States is like someone who owes you money, and they say they don't have it, and they keep buying cars.
Right.
That's what it's like.
Kind
It's
of.
like, how did you have the money to spend all this money on another country when you don't have any money to spend on the education of kids?
I mean, homelessness, the veterans.
Okay, let's just pick education. Like, how much could they fix education with $175 billion?
You shouldn't have a teacher that needs to buy supplies.
Right. And imagine this. Imagine if companies were incentivized. Like, what if they got government grants based on how well the kids performed in the school districts?
That would be great.
Yeah, like literally make it like Halliburton for schools. Like, Halliburton, they blew up Iraq. Halliburton comes in and cleans everything up. Have something that profits off these places getting better. And the better they do in terms of dropping in crime, education rates, graduation rates, college rates, everybody gets more money. Figure that out. Figure that out.
I mean, they just want more money for prisons.
They do that too. That's true.
Because if you don't spend it on education, then you could just have these people have to turn to crime and put them in prisons, and that's how you'll get money.
There's a bunch of things they did in the 80s that still fuck with us today, and that's one of them. That's a big one. Then the 80s must have been so wild because there's no computers, and it's just like TV and the newspaper, and everyone's running wild, and Reagan's the president, so nobody thinks anything's real. You got a fucking movie star as the president. JFK's dead. Nobody still understands that one.
Was Reagan's wife the one that was called the throat goat?
Allegedly. Yes.
Give her flowers. I think she is the throat goat.
I mean, you could bestow that upon someone to besmirk their memory. You could do that. It's hard to say.
Is that necessarily a bad thing?
But also the kind of gal that can capture up a president probably knows how to get things done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would
That's not
imagine.
necessarily a bad thing. Good for her.
I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Every guy would agree.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a good skill for a lady to have. Then there's a problem. How'd you learn that? Unless you're a savant. First dick you suck, you're just like, wow.
Somebody had to just figure that out.
There probably was classes back in the Roman days.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. Probably guys showing each other how to suck each other off. Everybody was blowing everybody back then.
They're just, throwing bodies on fire, and then also there's throat goat classes.
What their balls smelled like back then.
Disgusting. I can't even imagine it.
Jesus Christ.
You'd probably put shit on their balls so you couldn't smell what their actual balls smelled like. You're like, I'd rather smell straight shit than listen to that. So gross. That has to be the worst smell.
Did you ever see how they wiped their asses?
Where? In the Roman times?
Yeah, they would take a sponge that was on a stick. It was a communal sponge.
Communal sponge. Why did I just see this on like Instagram or something? Yeah, it's like I think I'm all set.
I went to Pompeii, and I took my family there a few years ago. It's really interesting because these people died like instantaneously, and then they've sort of uncovered a lot of it. And one of the things that they uncovered was like this communal like shit house. So it's just like these holes around this, like a horseshoe pattern. These, yeah, like that. So these holes, so these dudes just sit there and just shat into the ground.
So it's like kind of a toilet kind of idea?
Kind of, but I mean, I don't think there's any water. And there's the sponge. That's the sponge. Look at the word. They had a name for it.
How often
Xylospongium.
How often did they change the sponge?
Oh, they couldn't change it enough. Even if you had your own sponge.
It's not enough, but like a month?
You're dunking into that fucking... Okay, hold on a second. Academics disagree to its exact use, about which the primary sources are vague. It has traditionally been assumed that a type of shared anal hygiene utensil used to wipe after defecating, and the sponge is cleaned in vinegar or water, sometimes salt water. Other recent research suggests it was most likely a toilet brush.
Yeah, I mean, they're probably cleaning a toilet and also your asshole.
Yeah, maybe it was all those things. Middle of the 1st century, Roman philosopher Seneca the Younger reported that a Germanic gladiator died by suicide with a sponge on a stick. According to Seneca, the gladiator hid himself in the latrine of an amphitheater and pushed the wooden stick deep into his throat. Yo.
Did he take that sponge off first?
No, he wanted to die that way. He wanted to suffocate himself. That's how much he didn't want to fight in the gladiator wars.
See also shit stick.
Means a
shows-
thin stake or stick used instead of toilet paper for anal hygiene, and was a historical item of material culture introduced through Chinese Buddhism and Japanese Buddhism. A well-known example is, I'm not even going to try to say that word. Where'd it go? Oh. Well-known example, dry shit stick from the Chan Zen, I'm not going to say that word, in which a monk asked, "What is Buddha?" And Master Yunmen Unmon answered, "A dry shit stick." Buddha is a dry shit stick because everybody got a shit stick that had everybody else's shit already on it, and you just smear an extra shit on your butt.
It's like, I'll just have my own shit.
Yeah, you're dunking it in the water, but how clean does it really get? And then it's just soaked in shit water, and you're taking that and you're wiping your own asshole with it.
I am glad I was not born during that time.
What do you think people in the future are going to be saying about this time, though? What are they going to be most shocked that we did that was so stupid?
I don't know.
Because if we're looking back at Pompeii, what was Pompeii? What year did that go down?
It was like 67, something.
67 AD?
Yeah.
It's pretty wild when you're there. It's weird because you get to see some of the bodies they preserved that are just completely frozen in place. Like the ash overwhelmed them, and they're just almost like a little stone statue. 79 AD. Can you show me some of the photos of the Pompeii victims? So there's like people that are like just piled on top of each other. Like that's it, like right there. They just were overwhelmed by ash. Just volcanic ash. The volcano, the heat and the gases just killed everybody like almost instantly. Just completely overran the town. It's pretty insane.
That is
Because
insane.
it's just weird that people don't know that. Like when they're building these cities, they don't know that that can happen. Look at that.
I mean, I wouldn't know that that can happen.
No one knew back then, but I mean, we know now. Look at that. That's so crazy. That's what it looks like. I mean, that's a human being that was just literally turned into a statue in place. Fuck. There was one where these two guys were embracing, and someone tried to say that it was perhaps they were lovers.
Mm-hmm.
And someone on Twitter was a very funny comment. They're like, Jesus Christ, imagine dying in front of your friend, then everybody finds it like, oh, I knew he was gay.
Well, imagine like jerking off.
Right, you die in the middle of it. You have
Mm-hmm.
your dick, you have your hand on your balls
And you're just fucking now frozen in time like that?
forever. But at least nobody knows who you are.
That's true.
Yeah, those are the guys.
I don't know. Those people, yeah. That's on the way down.
Yeah. It's a fucked up way to go. Instantaneously.
Somebody's like, that's Bob and Tom.
And when I was a kid, Mount St. Helens blew up. What year was that, Jamie? Mount St. Helens was in the Pacific Northwest, and it was a big deal because it was an actual real volcano that killed people in the United States. And we were like, whoa. Like, what? I thought volcanoes were like in other countries. 1980. So I was not even in high school. Yeah. That was a crazy one. How many people died from Mount St. Helens?
57.
Yeah, they knew it was an active volcano, but
And
they
they
didn't
still
think.
went?
Wow, it's like people live on the side of active volcanoes. Like in Hawaii, there's a bunch of people that live on the side of an active
When I was in
volcano.
Hawaii, I think there was one of the volcanoes did go off.
Yeah. It happened when I was there, too, at the Big Island. The Big Island is very active. There's crazy film
Yeah,
of
I've just been like, I'm
lava
good.
overcoming this Mustang. Have you ever seen it?
No.
There's a Mustang parked in front of the street, and the lava is coming from this eruption, and it just slowly consumes the street and eats this car right in front of this dude's house. Like, these people have been living there, chilling their whole life,
Does, like,
coming
your
home from
insurance-
school. Hi, Mom, I'm home.
Does your insurance cover that?
Probably not. They try to cover as little as possible.
Oh, I
if you live on
know.
the side of an active volcano, like,
But it's like, hey, I'm gonna get volcano insurance.
yeah, that's up to you, player.
But I
Yeah.
want to have my expensive car.
Yeah, I had a friend who he had some crazy situation. I think he had like flood insurance, but he didn't have damage from water from a hurricane insurance. So like your roof can get destroyed from a hurricane and you don't have insurance for that, but you have insurance if like your pipes break. Like he got fucked in some sort of a weird loophole.
What's weird too with stuff like that, anytime it's like an adjuster, if you get the right adjuster, they can do whatever you want.
Oh,
but you
yeah.
have to get an adjuster who's going to do it. Like I used to call and do like appeals for health insurance stuff. And if you kind of sweet talk someone, they might just put it through for you. You have to just keep calling back until you get an adjuster that's going to give you what you want.
Or you have to charm them in person.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what, because they're just regular people.
Right. And they could decide.
Absolutely. They hold so much power sometimes.
That's a crazy power to have.
Right.
Tell
where
a
you're
person
like,
you can get your house fixed.
right. Or like your car's totaled and we're going to pay for it or we're not.
Yeah, or you're going to have a shaky-ass car for the rest of your life as you take it on the highway. You ever had a car that's fixed that really probably shouldn't have been fixed?
I mean, my first car I had was like a Ford Tempo. And I remember the steering wheel like came off in my lap as I was driving it. And I was just like picked it up and just kept driving.
You put it back on?
Oh, I should not have been driving that car.
Oh, my God. When you're a kid and you buy shit boxes, like the chances of those things just completely falling apart as you're driving are so high.
My dad also would just like want to paint a car. So he would just like start painting a car and prime it, like half of it, and then he would give up. So we'd have like a 2-colored car as a child. It's like so embarrassing.
Yeah, if you have a poor car.
Oh yeah, we
That's
had
not
poor
good.
cars.
Yeah, poor cars
all the
are not
time.
good.
And then my mom got into a car accident, and then we got a car with that money.
Oh.
The Ford Tempo was like $5,000.
Mm.
It had like bright red pleather inside.
Bright red
I
pleather.
remember, I was driving with that car, me and my friends on the highway, and I'm like, oh, the steering wheel just came down, but it's still connected. So I just pick it up and like make the turn.
Oh, so like the thing that adjusts the steering wheel dropped off?
I don't know. It just like fell in my lap when I was driving. And I just picked it up and like still drove it.
Jesus Christ. There's a lot of those cars out there. That's why we need inspections, Adrienne. It's very important.
My dad, though, knew a guy who would just keep passing that car. Yeah.
Those guys are a problem.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. It's like it's a person that's like not an adjuster, but like if you know them, they'll do it for you.
Yeah, my friend was telling me about that for muscle cars in Los Angeles, that there's a place you can go in like the hood, and this guy will completely pass like any car. I was like, that sounds like an FBI sting.
Yeah, but I mean, there's so many things like that.
Yeah. Well, especially in New York.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I mean, New York is all about knowing a guy.
All about knowing a guy. It's all about like what you can get away with.
Yeah.
New York City is disgusting. And I've lived there my whole life. I hate it, but I can't imagine like living anywhere permanently for the rest of my life.
What do you think is going to be the hardest adjustment about moving here?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, I can't live here during the summer. I can't do it like flying roaches, whatever those things are. I just can't. I'm out.
Jamie, do you experience a lot of flying roaches?
I just see them out. Like it was like 105 degrees here when I came last June with Ari, and it was just like we were in his house. He got a really nice Airbnb.
He probably brought them with him.
There were a lot of crickets this year, but I don't think that's different.
Yeah,
I mean, I was in the room in the bathroom, and there was one like this big.
A roach.
Whatever,
Yeah.
maybe they're cicadas, whatever they're called.
Oh, yeah. Cicadas are very different than roaches.
They
though.
look like roaches.
People
though.
eat them.
Sure, people eat people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make it cool or right, but like, you could eat whatever you want.
No, but I mean, it's like a delicacy. Like, people enjoy it.
Sure. That's
No,
fine.
like, I know a guy who does it.
God bless. That's not for me.
My friend Ryan Callahan, he had a recipe of how to cook cicadas.
Don't
did it
they
on his
look like
podcast.
big roaches, though?
Yeah, like a bug.
Anyway, I go to
Yeah.
get Ari to kill it, and he's like, oh, it just flew. And I'm like, what? That is like a new fear unlocked. It flew?
It probably was a cicada. It probably wasn't a
Maybe.
roach.
It might not have been a roach, but like,
That's what a
forget it.
cicada looks like.
I can't.
Fucking cool. They're fucking cool. See if you find cicada recipes. See if you can find Ryan Callahan's cicada recipe. My friend Ryan, he would cook them with like teriyaki sauce and bake them. Yeah, apparently, look, I've gone to Mexico before, and at certain resorts in Mexico, they'll serve you like fried crickets.
Sure.
Have you seen that?
I've heard about it.
Yeah. Fried crickets or grasshoppers. I forget which one. But they're good. They taste good.
They're probably crunchy.
Yeah, crunchy, and it was kind of salty. It's pretty good. And it's actually not bad for you, like legitimately.
It's protein, right?
Yeah, it's the same kind of animal protein that you get from a lot of different things. But protein from cicadas is apparently particularly good. It's like because they're big, I guess. Probably a lot of protein, those little fuckers.
I mean, I just remember being out like outside on like a bar here, and they were just.
That's all it is for you is the bugs?
The heat's not great.
You can handle the heat?
I could handle the heat over those bugs.
Just stay away from the bugs. I don't run into them.
You can't. They fly.
Adrienne, I'm telling you, you're hanging out in the wrong spots. I'll show you where to
Sure,
go.
maybe
where
I'm in
the
the poor places, but
bugs
like
don't
the
know.
bugs are just. I can't deal with the flying.
Just
of
don't
them.
go where the bugs are. It's not that big of a deal. The mosquitoes are a pain in the ass sometimes.
I don't care about that.
You
I mean,
know-
yeah, it's not great, but like those big things, I can't.
Like Lady Bird Lake, if you go around there, there's gonna be a lot of mosquitoes. They're all over the fucking place. But that's also what the bats keep in check. Have you seen the bat emergence before?
No,
Oh, it's fucking cool as shit.
bats are actually pretty cute.
Well, there's the bridge, right? This is
Yes,
South
I've heard
Congress
about the
Bridge.
bridge.
And if you go by the South Congress Bridge, there's people every night that are waiting for the bats to leave. Because millions of bats leave. So as billions of critters have emerged for 7 years. So is this Ryan?
I think so.
Okay, so he's showing, so you peel off the skin of these little fuckers.
What is this guy doing?
That's not Ryan Callahan. I don't know who that guy is.
I couldn't find a video of him doing it then.
Okay. But so this guy's just showing how you cook cicadas. So he's basically taking away the
gonna
outside
throw
area,
up.
and he made a cicada taco for this kid and this lady, and they're eating it with a. She said she's freaking out. Whatever.
Yeah.
She said it's not bad. What was I just talking about before that, though? We were moving on to something else.
Oh, what I'll miss about being here as opposed to New York.
Yeah, we talked about the bats. That's what we were talking
The
about.
bats eating the
Yeah,
mosquitoes.
show the bats emerging from the South Congress Bridge. It's really crazy. I've only done it once where I went out there
I would
and
like
watched
to
it
see
happen.
it.
It's like 1 million bats. It's like the sky fills with bats, and they kill all the fucking mosquitoes. They're death.
Why
for
are
the
they not
mosquitoes.
eating the
Look at 'em.
cicadas also?
Look at
That's
that.
pretty cool though.
Yeah.
I've never seen the photos of it.
It's pretty badass. I've seen it live like that. And if you go under that bridge, you hear them. You hear little flying rats clinging
What
to the
else
roof.
do they eat? They can't eat just mosquitoes.
Mosquitoes.
That's
They're
it?
mosquito killers. They keep the mosquitoes in check. They probably eat a bunch of bugs. I'm sure they don't only dine on mosquitoes, but they're a significant factor in keeping the mosquito population down, allegedly. That's what I read. Let's find out if that's true. I think it's true, though. I think it's true. I think that's one of the main things that
My
they
friend
help with.
he lives in, I guess, the country, and he's like trying to put up those places where bats will come to eat the mosquitoes. Like, I guess you put up those little bat houses or whatever. You put pheromones in them, I guess, and he's like, he can't get them to come there because he has a lot of mosquitoes because he lives by a lake.
Yeah, I bet bats, it's hard to get them to move into new areas, because I bet wherever bats live, if they live by a lake, there's probably plenty of bugs. Like, why would they take a risk to go somewhere where they're not sure if resources exist?
I mean, they could just fly.
Right, but they live under this bridge, and they've been on this bridge forever.
Well, yeah, I don't think he's going to get these bats.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, when bats find a spot that works, they're not migratory.
Right, they're just going to stay
Yeah,
there.
they're just going to stay there. So to get them to go to a new spot, he's probably going to have to bring bats. We actually had a bat expert on the podcast.
Do you know what I need? I need an expert for pantry moths.
We'll try to find you one.
I mean, I have pantry moths for the last 3 months, and I can't get rid of them.
They do migrate.
Where they go? They migrate seasonally, flying south for the winter and then returning north in the spring. Interesting.
Yeah, that's how I heard about it. There's a bunch more in Houston.
Right. So they probably, because Houston doesn't get as cold probably, but they probably have like an established range is what my point is. It's like bringing them to a new range, like to your friend's place, is going to be
Right.
difficult because there's not a history of them being there. But I wonder what was that dude's name? What does it say? It says they eat between 10,000 and 30,000 pounds of insects, including mosquitoes,
Every night.
and every night on their nightly flights, and harmful agricultural pests.
They got to be.
So
eating
Austin's
those
bats
cicadas.
they're fucking huge. They come in handy. But fuck, what was I asking about other than that?
Merlin Tuttle.
Yes, that's his name, Merlin Tuttle. So he is a bat expert, and he lives in Austin as well. Fascinating dude. He's been studying bats his whole life. He's a scientist.
Is there still new stuff to find out about bats?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, bats carry a lot of weird diseases. That's one thing, like
That makes
and
sense, 'cause
there's
they're
some
eating
crossover
mosquitoes.
diseases. That's the coronavirus. Essentially, was a bat disease that they took and fucked with, and made it vulnerable for humans. So they've done a lot of work with like bats and diseases. One of the craziest stories, though, there's these two doctors, or two scientists rather, and they were in Africa, and they decided to set up photography to film these bats as they were flying out of the cave, because there's a certain cave in Africa that has like some fucking insane number of bats. It's just filled with them. And when these bats flew out, they shit. So these guys are on the ground in front of the bat cave filming,
covered
and
in
they
shit?
didn't take into account they're going to be covered in bat shit. Just millions and millions of bats shitting in their face. And they died. They died of
From
like
the
some
shit?
crazy hemorrhagic virus that just raged through their system. If you imagine you are a human being and you're essentially intravenously taking in bat shit into your system. It's going in your eyeballs.
What a
it's going in your
crazy
mouth.
turn of events.
It's going through the blood-brain barrier. The bat shit's getting into your blood, and it's circulating through your whole body. And you just develop a horrible hemorrhagic
So
virus.
you can't play in that shit like you can play in cow shit.
No, I don't think so. I think bats eat a lot of like living organisms, unlike cows. You
It's
know,
turning these crocodiles orange.
bat poop has turned these African cave crocodiles
I
orange.
mean, that orange crocodile
That's
looks
pretty
cool.
dope. That's a
Yeah.
pretty
I'd like
dope-looking
I'd like a pair of
crocodile.
boots. Made of
Yeah,
that guy.
no shit, right? Like natural.
Nice.
Natural orange crocodile from bat poop. You know, the bat guano is a very potent fertilizer, right? Because bat guano has I think it has high levels of nitrogen. I think that comes from them eating all the insects. So that like there used to be wars over bat shit. And that's where the term bat shit crazy comes from. Yeah,
I did not know that.
Guano was like a very expensive commodity because people needed it to grow crops. So if you could
That's
get
crazy.
yeah, bat guano is apparently a very potent fertilizer.
They have a 4,300-year-old poop core in a Jamaican cave that they've been studying.
What?
That's 5,000 different species of bats have been shitting on for.
Jesus Christ. Oh my
meters tall.
God. Deposited into sequential layers by generations of bats for over 4,300 years, and it's 2 meters tall. That is so crazy. Largely undisturbed and holds information about changes in climate and how the bat's food sources shifted over the millennia. Wow.
Imagine going to Jamaica for spring break, and that's where you go.
That is so crazy. That's so nuts.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to find a picture of it, but I don't see one.
You know what I'm really fascinated with is things that existed like only in myth, but that every culture has, like dragons. Like I had this guy, Forrest Gallant. He's a wildlife biologist, and he thinks that there's a real possibility that dragons were an actual thing. And that
Well, when they have lived, like when dinosaurs were around.
No, they lived alongside humans. That's why there's all these records and all these different cultures. And, you know, there's Chinese culture has dragons, Japanese culture has dragons, ancient Europeans have dragons. Like dragon is not a fire breathing. That seems to be bullshit. But maybe even...
What kind of, like, what would their purpose be?
Well, they're probably like a crocodile that flies. There was probably like more than one kind of really dangerous reptile that they called dragons, like Komodo dragons.
Right, Komodo dragons.
Giant
exist,
lizard,
right.
they call it a dragon, right? Crocodiles, dragons. The question is whether or not one of them actually flew. Because we know that pterodactyls were a real thing. And if
I mean,
pterodactyls...
they probably were real then.
Nah. I think it's probably something like that. You know, some kind of like enormous bird type creature.
I only want a dragon if it's going to, like, just have fire come out of its mouth.
All the time. Yeah.
That's the only kind of dragon I
Stick
want.
it on your enemies.
Yes.
Shut the fuck up. You know?
Send it to your
Like
house.
when you're in Game of Thrones and that lady's standing there and then you see the dragon's head slowly
I never
emerge
watched Game of
behind her.
Thrones. I know.
How dare you?
I know.
It's so good.
I keep trying
It's
to
so
get
good.
into it, and I can't.
The new one is nah.
No, but
The
I mean,
new one's
I mean
2
the
seasons
old
in.
one.
The old one is so good. It's so good. It's so good. It makes you want a dragon. The lady who was her name Veneris? Who had the dragons? Is that her name?
I have no idea. You didn't watch it either? Could you not get into it?
He's too busy playing video games
Not
and
my
golf.
style.
Bring me
Fantasy.
your
Oh, what are
bring
you
me
into
your-
reality?
Bring me your puppy right now. Bring me Carl.
Look at Jamie's like, I don't like fantasy.
Not that kind.
Yeah, I
What
don't really
kind of
like
fantasy
fantasy
do you
like that
like?
either.
I don't know, like sci-fi stuff a little more.
Have you
interesting.
seen Three Body Problem?
No, it was on my list to watch it and start it.
Dude, it's
Is it good?
really good. Really, by the guys who made Games of Thrones, or the gals, or non-binary folks, whoever the fuck it is.
Whoever made it.
Whoever made Game of Thrones. That's a thing that you repeat without looking any further. I don't know what producers or whatever, but the point is, like, it is a really, really good show. Like, really fun. And science fiction. And my wife was not even into science fiction. She loves it.
I gotta check it out. I
Yeah,
really want.
it's good.
I really want Carl.
Little Carl. Isn't he adorable?
He's so cute.
Yeah, he's got to rest up for Marshall. In about 15, 20 minutes, he's going to meet Marshall again. It's gonna
Marshall is like
chaos
Marshall
once
is just
again.
happy right now.
Oh, yeah. He's happy when Carl's nowhere near him.
He's like, Carl, please, I can't.
Especially if like he doesn't have a toy where they could play tug of war.
Right.
If they could play tug of war, it's cool. But Carl is just a
Oh yeah. As soon as
psycho.
I came in, he was just like biting my sneaker.
Yeah, he just wants to fight. He,
He
wants
just
to
wants.
play.
He's still so young though.
Yeah, he's a little baby. But he's also a crazy dog. Like he's like
nuts.
a little torpedo. He
Yeah.
launches himself through the air at Marshall.
Yeah. He's like, if he was a person, he'd be a dictator. He's like nuts.
He'd be a gladiator. He'd be
He's-
one of those dudes
he's, like,
fighting
just
in Rome.
jacked.
Yeah, he'd be one of them dudes fighting. He'd be like that. He wouldn't be the guy that killed himself with the shit sponge.
No
That guy
way.
was a
He'd be
pussy.
killing people with the shit sponge,
Yeah.
just plunging it right in their throat.
But you imagine if like today was the lion fight, you're like, I don't want to do this. I'd rather choke to death on a shit stick. Imagine how bad your life has to be.
Yeah, I think you were like, I'm just gonna off myself with this.
Imagine
shit
like
stick.
that's all you have to kill yourself is a shit stick. I mean, how bad
I
your
guess you
life
do
has to
it.
suck to take this fucking sponge covered in other people's shit and just bypass your gag instincts and stuff it down your hole until you die.
Imagine you don't die right away either.
You definitely don't die right away.
You're just like ingesting those fumes. From shit.
Yeah, you're
You brought it
throwing
up.
up in the
You brought
middle
this back up.
of killing
The shit
yourself
stick.
by stuffing it
I
in
think
your
someone
neck.
thought that would kill them, and they just tried smelling it until they died, and it didn't work.
Nah, they're probably used to that kind of smell.
It's like smelling salts. I bet that shit wakes you right up.
You want some?
No, I used to work at a place
Ready?
that. I'll do it, but I'm not gonna do it that close.
Oh!
That's what people do with the shit stick. That was
Oh
their
my
face.
god. That was the biggest one I ever got. Ever. Oh my god. I thought it had lost a little bit of potency from the other day. Yo!
It's like a delayed reaction. She had a little
Yo.
Oh my God.
That one hit me harder than
I
anyone
thought
I've
it
ever
wasn't
been
even
hit.
that close to me. It's like chlorine, but the most chlorine.
It's
So I worked at
something
a place that
ammonia.
did abortions. It was like an
Oh, boy.
OBGYN, and they used to have that stuff to like wake people up.
Oh, fun.
Ugh, God, that is so bad.
Gets addicted,
we
though. You
just-
want to try it again, don't
No,
you?
I
You?
don't.
You don't? You sure?
I'm not a
I'll
gambler.
give you a couple minutes.
I'm not a gambler.
Doesn't matter.
I'll do it from further away.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Let's see how close I can get. Let's see how close I can get.
It's one of those things where everybody does it and they're like, what the fuck?
That
and they're
was
like,
so
let me do
bad.
it again. Let me try it again. Let me try it again. Everybody wants to try it again.
That's brutal.
Yeah, it's rough. It's rough stuff.
What do they use that for besides
Weightlifters.
if they get knocked out.
No. They take it right
Oh.
before they power lift.
Why?
Apparently, I don't know the actual science. Maybe Jamie can look it up. The idea, I think, that is it shocks your system. It like just jolts everything alive, and then you're like fucking, and then you can lift more weights. Allegedly, it must.
That's crazy because I didn't even have it that close to my face.
They used to use it with boxers, but they made it illegal. They would put it under a boxer's nose
To
if
wake
they were
them up,
losing,
right?
To wake them up. Yeah, if they got like rocked and hurt, they would snap them back. I don't even know if it works.
Lots
I mean,
of athletes use it.
What is
Still,
that?
NFL
What
players,
is it
hockey
though?
players.
is it legal for them?
Yeah, well, they're using smaller versions, but yeah,
Why can't boxers use it then?
I don't know that they can't.
I don't think they can. I think smelling salts are illegal in between rounds. I think it actually was an issue that somebody brought up because I think someone was asking why someone. It was one of the fight men in the UFC. One of the cut men in the UFC was holding someone's nose open after they got rocked, like with his finger. But it was just to create more airway.
It says that because they can mask more serious injuries and cause further harm.
Right.
That's what it's in boxing is why it's.
Yeah, that makes sense. So like if you get rocked and then they give you smelling salts, you might think you're okay, but really you're still fucked up.
Also,
Right.
The worst injury from them is what this is backing up. When I was looking into it, is whiplash. It's not like burning your nose.
That's hilarious.
I was like from just going
It's
like
from the
that.
yeah, because you can't not react that way.
That's
And
hilarious.
people that are more hurt can get fucked up more.
You need to do some neck exercises, homie. You get whiplash from that. That's
You
ridiculous.
get into a car
Dislocating an
accident and
injured spine.
you want like to get more money, so you just
Yeah.
do that for
Take
whiplash.
a couple blasts of that.
What
before
is
the
that
cops
stuff?
get
Like
there.
what? It just smells like ammonia, kind
I
of.
think it is ammonia. Yeah.
Yep, that's all it is.
Yeah, it's just ammonia in like crystal form. But this company is this product is called This is the strongest one we've ever
I
tried.
mean, I've smelled it before too, but like that is very strong.
It's
it was
the
like
strongest.
here, and I smelled it.
Yeah, this smelled so bad that it smelled inside the sealed container. So it had a sealed plastic container on the outside.
could
I had to
smell it.
open that. I could smell it through the container before it was even open. And then once I unsealed it and opened the bag, while this was sealed and with like a top to the lid, like so there's the top that's like sealed over the bottle and then the lid on top of the top.
And you still smelled it. Through
Still
that.
smelled it through that. With like the plastic seal, you got to pull the seal back and everything. Once we opened it up, it's insane. Whatever the fuck is in whatever it does to
How
your
did
system.
they like get it in crystal form?
try it again?
No. Okay.
again? Yeah,
you
here
do
you go.
first.
Okay.
Why would you go that close? That's pretty close.
Okay, your turn. Get in there, girl. Big breath. Big breath. Big breath. Big breath.
Oh,
No, that was
I
nothing.
smelled enough.
That was nothing.
I don't care. I'm not gonna breathe in it. I'm gonna
All right.
lie. I'm gonna
You can
pretend
quit.
I'm doing it.
You did it. Yeah,
that
the full
first time.
experience the
That first time is like brutal.
Yeah. Doesn't it wake you up though?
It does.
Yeah.
For
so
sure.
if somebody had rocked you, if you're in there with some girls boxing you up,
Right.
just piecing you up,
And they just smell
they
that.
get you in the corner, you're like, whew, and then all
I
of a
could
sudden
see
you're
it
on your feet
making you
again.
like angry too.
Yeah. I would think it'd probably be good to mask any symptoms of you being hurt.
They should have had that on the shit stick.
Yeah, imagine just swallowing a ball of that to kill yourself.
But that's better.
Probably take a long time.
You don't think you would die from that right away? It's ammonia.
I wonder. Okay. How much ammonia would you have to consume for it to be lethal, Jamie?
I feel like a cup.
This is not even a cup.
Well, that's in
I
crystal
think it'd be
form though.
prolonged. If it's the amount of time you're probably doing it.
But if you just down this whole thing, it should kill you.
Swallowed it?
Yeah, the whole thing. I feel like we shouldn't be giving anybody any ideas.
Probably not. People who were like eating
Definitely
Tide
don't do it.
Pods don't.
They were, right? That was
That's
real.
that's a crazy time. Where
I think
like
China did that to us. I think they tricked us on
Into
the internet.
taking
Yeah, they
Tide
got some
Pods.
like fake people to pretend to eat Tide Pods and talk dumb kids.
like
into
remember when they
eating
were
it.
locking up detergent because kids were eating Tide Pods? Where you're like, I don't know, man. If you're eating those Tide Pods, you deserve it.
Yeah, we're always gonna have kids that do stupid shit. There's no way around that.
Tide Pods is probably
I'm lucky
One of
Tide
the
Pods
top.
weren't around when I was a kid.
you would have definitely been eating them.
I know somebody who would have ate them. There's always that one kid in the neighborhood who'll do anything to get attention. He'll
They
eat a
do
bug.
feel cool though.
Hmm.
They're like soft and
What is in them?
detergent.
Oh, sorry, Tide Pods.
What are you saying, Jamie?
They were saying this is probably how this got into sports. They thought it counteracted head trauma.
right.
like 50
yeah.
years ago.
Wakes you up.
Not just, but I mean, fully. Like if you were knocked out,
Right.
which you have, I mean, you had I know it would wake you up, but like they thought it like fixed you.
Right. They thought it brought you back.
Insane.
Well, they didn't know shit back
I
then.
still smell it.
I mean, when do you think they figured out brain damage? When they start figuring out if you get punched in the head too many times, you lose your ability to communicate.
I think they probably knew it pretty early, and they were like, "I'm betting on this game, though." Let them keep hitting each other.
Well, they definitely knew about it because boxers were washed up, even in the 50s and the 60s. But I don't think they understood the extent of it until probably like the 60s and the 70s. People started discussing like being punch drunk boxers. Like I think boxers knew about it, but I think like the general public, it wasn't really a big thing.
What about football people that concussions and stuff?
Yeah, for sure. They get it real bad. All of them, all contact athletes, your head getting jarred like that. But I think for us, the big one was Muhammad Ali, because Muhammad Ali was such a cultural hero. And to see Muhammad Ali in the later stages of his life, like unable to communicate and shaking, is like very disturbing. Because as much as they try to tell you that had nothing to do with boxing, like, come on.
It definitely did.
Of course it did.
You jostling your brain around.
But there's also a trauma-induced Parkinson's is a real thing.
Right.
And so when you see people that are like Freddie Roach, he was a boxer and now he's a famous trainer. He has trauma-induced Parkinson's. Is a shake that he tells you is from his career as a boxer. It's just something that happens to people. And so when you see it happen to someone like Muhammad Ali, you're like, fuck.
Right, because this guy's like the sign of strength.
Oh, not just a sign of strength, but the way he would talk was so different than any other boxer. He was so fast. He was so funny. Like Howard Cosell called him truculent once. You seem very truculent, champ. He goes, whatever truculent is, if it's good, I'm that.
That's a great answer.
He had so many funny things that he said. He was the first guy that was like talking shit in a funny way and getting the whole world to pay attention. You know, he said one of his opponents, I forget who it was, he goes, have you ever dreams he beat me? You better wake up and apologize.
It's funny.
He just said some funny things he would say, but also like refused to fight in the Vietnam War. He said, hey man, fuck you. I'm not going over there.
Yeah, good for him.
Yeah. And then lost his title, lost his ability to make a living for 3 years because of it. Like the prime 3 years of his career was taken from him because he refused to fight in the Vietnam War. So he was a lot more than just a fighter. He was like a cultural icon who defined rebelling against a corrupt and evil system. And then, eventually at the end of his life, he was a victim of the sport that made him famous. And we watched it.
Right.
And that's the first time we ever watched someone go from, just celebrated for the way he talked to being unable to communicate at all.
This gives two very different versions of when it was discovered.
Ancient Egypt.
Yeah.
1848, Phineas Gage, a railroad worker, survived a traumatic brain injury when an iron rod shot through his skull and destroyed much of his left frontal lobe. Gage's personality changed dramatically, and his case considered a landmark in the study of brain damage and personality.
So we have pictures of that.
Yo, let's see the pictures. Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
It says it went right through.
Oh, my God.
He didn't apparently feel much pain.
Oh, boy.
He was throwing up for every 20 minutes, but he was lucid and remained talking the whole time.
So he just made like his hair part over the hole in his head?
It said he had obliterated his left frontal lobe, but he survived the accident. A 13-inch railroad rod.
Is that the rod that he has in
That's
his
crazy.
hand?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, Christ.
He
Could be a
kept
gun.
it?
That could be a gun or
That looks
something.
like
No, that looks
That
like the
could be it.
rod,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
That's the thing that went through his fucking head and he lived.
And now he's keeping it.
Oh, that's what it looked like. Oh, my God.
Wait, so it didn't go through his eye?
It went through his head and destroyed his eye.
Jaw.
What do you think what did it say it did to his personality?
That's why. So this was like the first study in psychology. It's changed psychology and.
Right. What did they say? How did they say it affected his personality? Phineas Gage on second thought. That's interesting. What does that say that on the top? The title of it?
Before, profane, and hostile afterwards.
A re-examination of the famous case of a man whose personality changed from a grievous brain injury. Okay, wait a minute.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Stumbled across that too.
Yeah.
All right, I'll find another way. But
Yeah, it's hard to know. This is a funky site. The dude who runs that site's funky.
I mean, I bet he wasn't a good time to be around.
Well, it does definitely dramatically change people. Like, I was reading about this guy who developed an ability to see mathematics in like geometric form, and it's called acquired savant syndrome. So this guy started creating like geometric art. Like, apparently had no interest in mathematics at all, and then I think he got mugged. I think he got beat up. And then developed some bizarre mathematical ability.
I mean, that's better than the people that have like traumatic brain injuries and become pedophiles.
True.
Like, definitely
True.
pray for the mathematic genius.
Well, I know quite a few comics have had them. Roseanne Barr, Kinnison, both got hit by cars. Both changed their personalities dramatically afterwards. It's probably like quite a few people that just got knocked in the head and then just became a different person.
Right.
It was really weird. It's a sketchy thing.
Oh, no, your joke was about somebody taking medicine.
Oh, the joke about, the Parkinson's drug? That's true. That's true.
Crazy.
It's so crazy. Yeah, it's called a dopamine agonist. And apparently with some people, it completely removes their inhibitions.
Right, he was gambling.
Gambling, gay sex, just went off the rails.
And what did you say?
Lost
He lost
everything.
like 600,000 or something?
Somewhere in the neighborhood of that, yeah. Lost everything.
But then when he would stop taking the drug, he was okay.
It got back to normal. He's like, what the fuck was I doing? He won in court, which is the craziest thing.
Yeah, you said,
he
but he
sued
lost,
GlaxoSmithKline.
Right, but he lost more money.
As much money as he gained back, and he was also raped twice. No, raped once, I think. He was
randomly raped or he raped?
He was raped. He was
okay.
raped. Yeah, he picked a guy up off Craigslist.
I guess he didn't see that.
He just became addicted to gay sex and gambling.
It's crazy to like stop doing that, and then you're like, wow, I remember all those dicks I took.
Yeah.
That was a crazy time.
Well, he was a different human. Like his brain, like we don't think about it this way, but your brain is essentially this functional ecosystem of all of these different things, dopamine and serotonin, all these neurotransmitters, and then the blood that's flowing through your body. It's all operating on this sort of like fairly regular schedule of what's available to use and how you interpret consciousness based on the chemicals. And then all of a sudden, you introduce this new shit. And this new shit makes you want to suck cock and play bingo. And
it's just crazy that
stop.
both of those things are like the same in this guy's head.
Well, it's just wild impulses. I'm sure he had probably other impulses. I don't know if he got more violent, but that sometimes happens where people like can't control. You know, like someone cuts you off in traffic, and you want to be like, "Oh, this fucking idiot!"
Right?
Well, they just fucking can't take it. They just want to just drive someone off the road. They just lose their impulse control. That happens to people with CTE as well. A lot of people with CTE, they have a very short fuse, like very short fuse.
Didn't they think that happened with Aaron Hernandez?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they said he had the worst CTE I think that they had ever diagnosed, and he was alive in 28. You know, so he wasn't, well, he's dead, obviously, because they did an autopsy. But, I mean, he was alive at 28 before he killed himself with the worst CTE they had ever seen. So it hadn't even killed him.
Right.
But it had destroyed his brain. I mean, his brain was destroyed. It was just filled with holes.
That's crazy.
Crazy. And they said that when they studied football players, there's some extraordinary number of football players that have CTE. It's in like the high 90%. And this is not just college. This is high school,
but
college.
all those people that have those high CTE counts, like they're not killing people either.
Some of them are.
Not a lot.
No, not a lot. But the thing about it is, first of all, when it's over, there's a lot of them that wind up killing themselves. That's a big thing with that happens with fighters. It happens with soldiers. Also, the PTSD compounding the fact they have brain injuries. A lot of heavy depression. So 345 former NFL players with chronic traumatic encephalopathy out of 376 former players studied. So out of all those people studied, only 31 dudes didn't have it. So it's 91.7%. Among those diagnosed in the last year, 2 former players who once represented the teams paired in this Sunday's Super Bowl. Former Philadelphia Eagles quarterback. Could you do me a favor and just Google Aaron Hernandez CTE?
I did,
with results?
Yeah, he had the second highest you could have. I don't know the stages, but stage 3, worst you'd ever seen in someone that young.
Yeah.
Because he was, that's what I was going to say. He wasn't playing as long as some of these other people.
That's what's crazy. Range of symptoms including emotional and behavioral changes, memory loss, and depression. Yeah. Yeah. It's nuts. It's nuts, and it's 91% of the players.
It's crazy, too, that you just keep playing football because you make so much money from it.
Well, I think Aaron Hernandez was a violent dude already. You know, there was like a lot of abuse in his childhood, and there's a lot of crazy stuff.
Sure.
So I think there was a lot going on with that guy.
Right. So he might have been a little unhinged to begin with.
He murdered a bunch of people, right? At least one. They think he murdered at least 2.
I thought
They
he
think
was,
he
like-
murdered 2.
Yeah, I
right?
thought it was 2.
But I think 1 is like confirmed. How many people did Aaron Hernandez murder?
I know why I thought it was 3.
Charged for 1.
I mean, dude's
He
playing
was
in the
acquitted
NFL.
of a double homicide.
Playing in the NFL. Superstar. Also just gunning people down. With one of the worst examples of CTE they've
He
ever
was found
discovered.
guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison.
Did he hang
2015.
himself? Is that how he died? Did he hang himself?
I believe so.
You imagine like an injury like that dude with the rod through the brain, and now all of a sudden you're a totally different person. Like all your life you've been one person, and then gone. That person's gone.
It's kind of fun.
Maybe not.
There's only one way to find out.
You would try, like you would want to know, like how hard do I have to get hit in the head to be really good at math? Like you don't want to overdo it.
No, you don't want
know?
to. You're like, keep pushing me. I still can't figure this equation out.
Just one more kick to the face, please. I think we're right there. I think I'm starting to see geometry,
Yeah, that's crazy.
but it doesn't happen to everybody. That's what's weird.
No.
Some people make some great comics. Some people just make some brain dead.
Yeah. There's a fine line
There's a fine
between
line.
genius and brain dead.
In everything, there's a fine line. All right, should we wrap this up?
Let's wrap it up.
It was really fun.
Yeah. Thanks
Always
for
is.
having me.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
You're very funny. I really enjoy your comedy. I love the risks you take. You know, you just go for it. It's fun to watch. It's great. It really is. It's fun. It's a different thing than anybody else is doing, and people love it. I think there's reason for that. And I think you're like one of those people that they have to find out about you to appreciate you. And, you know, that happened with a lot of people. That happened with, like, Stephen Wright. That happened with, like, Mitch Hedberg. Like, people had to, like, know what they were coming for to really
Sure.
appreciate it.
Do you hear that? Do you remember that story? I don't know if when Mitch Hedberg did his special for Comedy Central, it took so long because he was like bombing the whole way through. You never heard that? No. I mean, and he's like a genius, but like his special, he was not doing well, and they kept filming it and like finally he's like sitting down on those stairs because I think he had been at it for a while. And you watch that special, and it's like hilarious. He's like a genius, so funny, but like. Yeah, in the room, it just was not going well.
Well, it all depended with Mitch on also who is there a complimentary opening act that makes sense.
Sure.
Like he would have guys on the road, he would like have a middle act on the road that the club would provide, and that dude would be doing backflips and singing songs.
Right, that's not a great person for you to follow.
It's terrible. And so people didn't know who he was back then. It was just who's the headliner. Oh, there's a guy named Mitch Hedberg. Like, why does he have sunglasses on? Why is he staring at the ground? Like,
yeah.
But once they knew who he was, then they would come to see him, and then it was awesome. And I think there's a thing like that with you.
Well, what's funny, too, is like Louis, you know, directed it, and he's like, let's do this thing. At first, he was like, let's do this thing where nobody knows you're filming a special. He's like, you know, you're just going out there, and like, you know, usually half the crowd loves me and half the crowd doesn't. So I was like, let's do one show like that. And that show, I tap danced the whole way, and it was so brutal. I left that, the first 2 shows we did, I was like, the first one was okay, and the second one was so brutal because none of them knew who I were. They didn't know I was doing a special. They just thought they were coming for a regular show. And I'm up there for an hour. And people, like, there was like 7 people that liked me, but like, we all left so dejected. Like, Louis was like, I can't even watch this. And Ari, I seen Ari being like so depressed. And then I went home that night and I was like, I'm going to have to quit comedy.
Oh, my God.
And then the next 2 shows the next night were amazing. But like, yes, I'm not for everyone.
Yeah, you're not for everybody.
Not even my biological father.
Well, you're for me. I appreciate you.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. So one more time, Jamie, show it. It's available now. Netflix, The Dark Queen. Tell people your Instagram, all that jazz.
It's just my name, Adrienne Iapalucci.
Spell it, though, because people are like,
Sure.
That's Iapalucci must mean A.
I know. Well, also, too.
But you have an I first. This funky I.
But everyone always thinks it's an L. So that's why I was like, we need to use
Oh.
a font where it's an I. So it's Adrienne, and then the last name's IA.
Have you ever thought about just changing your last name to an A? Just put an A there?
I mean,
Just
everyone
one big
thinks
A?
it's an L.
How about just change it? One big A. So
I
people
feel
know
like-
how to say it.
I feel like I like being a little difficult.
You do. That makes sense. Keep it that way. Don't listen to me. Thank you very much.
Thanks for
Appreciate you very
having
much.
me.
Bye, everybody.